Chapter 60. Speaking of the Reaper's sword, this thing had quite the background. The Reaper's sword wasn't a divine weapon, but a very famous evil sword. Its lethality wasn't any weaker than divine weapons. Although it was an evil sword, there were still tens of thousands of people who wanted to obtain it. At that time, it stirred up a storm of blood in the cultivation world. Because it caused too much of a commotion, it alarmed the celestial realm. The celestial realm sent people down to seal it. At that time, the people of the celestial realm wanted to destroy it. But how could this kind of sword be destroyed so easily? They had no choice but to seal it. Not long ago, there was news of the Reaper's sword's appearance. Shi Shang was nearby at that time. He originally wanted to see those people being tortured by the Reaper's sword. Who knew that she would obtain the Reaper's sword in the end? In the storyline, this sword would also appear. Moreover, the person who obtained it was Yi Qingqiu's sworn enemy. So, this Mr. Plotline was still forcing her to her death. What the F***CK? The sect competition was imminent. People of the cultivation world rushed to the MT Tong sect. From time to time, large groups of cultivators could be seen flying over their heads on their flying swords. In the storyline, the sect competition was held at the Misty sect. However, the Misty sect's strength had declined and they no longer had the qualifications to hold the sect competition. Thus, it was held at the MT Tong sect instead. Shi Shang and Feng Ci leisurely walked to the MT Tong sect. Those who came to participate in the sect competition were all sections. It was rare to see a two-person team like theirs. Thus, there would occasionally be curious divine senses sweeping down from the sky. Some people who saw them clearly almost fell off their flying swords. "Mommy, it's that witch Shang Shu and that great devil who kills without blinking an eye. Why are they here? Are they waiting for all the sects to gather and catch us all in one fell swoop?" People of the cultivation world called Feng Ci the great devil because no one knew his name. Those who knew his name had already been burned to ashes. Thus, when Shi Shang and Feng Ci arrived, the entire MT Tong sect was waiting for them. There was a guard every 3 steps and a sentry every 5 steps. The scene was very spectacular. "Yo, such a big formation to welcome me." Shi Shang's "I'm very satisfied, you've done well" expression caused the group of people who had been eyeing her covetously to feel speechless. "Who the F***CK is welcoming you? Have some shame." "Which? What do you want?" The sect leader of the MT Tong sect stood up, filled with righteous indignation. "Today, all the major sects are here. Don't even think about being impudent." "What are you talking about? Am I such a cruel person?" Shi Shang blinked innocently. "You are. There are so many of us. Do you think we're afraid of the two of you?" Someone from the MT Tong sect shouted, "Which, leave quickly. We won't hold it against you." "But I don't want to leave." Shi Shang looked at the man awkwardly. "If you don't like it, you can leave. I won't stop you." Everyone. This was their territory, what right did they have to leave? "What are you trying to do?" If it was just Shi Shang alone, they wouldn't be afraid. However, with the big devil around, they had no chance of winning at all. There was once a sect that offended these two. It was said that the entire sect was instantly annihilated. Many people did not even have the chance to make a move. This incident spread like wildfire. Some curious people went to take a look at the sect's encampment. The entire sect was gone, leaving only a pile of white ashes. It was said that it was burned by fire. Everyone knew that the big devil's fire was powerful, but they didn't expect it to be this powerful. The entire sect was burned to ashes. Shi Shang shrugged. "Nothing. We just want to watch the intersect tournament." "Why? Are we not allowed to watch?" "Who knows what you're thinking?" Feng Ci suddenly stepped forward, a flame flickering in his hand. The MT Tong sect leader's expression changed. His pupils shrank. He gritted his teeth and endured the humiliation. "Please come in." He didn't want his MT Tong sect to end up in the same state as the destroyed sect. The others didn't dare to say anything. If the fire really hit them, they wouldn't be able to put it out. They could only wait to be burned to death. The MT Tong sect leader ordered 2 disciples to lead Shi Shang and Feng Ci up the mountain. Sect leader, are we really going to let them in? The inter-sect tournament was a grand event in the cultivation world. If something happened, the MT Tong sect would be responsible. What else can you do? If he had a way, would he have to swallow his anger? The disciple didn't say anything. He wanted to say that since there were so many of them, they might be able to defeat the 2 if they worked together. But when he saw the sect leader's expression, he didn't say anything. The others' faces were also ashen. Something bad was definitely going to happen in this inter-sect tournament. The leaders of the various sects all warned their disciples not to provoke them and to run as soon as they saw them. Can't outrun them? Beg for mercy if you can't outrun them? Still can't? Then you can only blame yourself for being unlucky. Just wait for your death. Fight. Don't joke around. The great demon can burn you to death with just a flick of his finger. Shi Shang moved into the MT Tong sect to watch the intersect tournament. Everyone was shocked and angry, but they couldn't do anything about it. The MT Tong sect leader held an emergency meeting in the middle of the night and finally decided on the direction of the intersect tournament. Don't provoke them. According to the rumors in the past few years, if you don't provoke them, they won't chop people for fun. In other words, even if you don't like them and stare them to death, they won't care about you as long as you don't say anything or do anything. For a while, everything was peaceful. Until the people of the ethereal sect arrived. When enemies meet, their eyes turn red. When they heard that Shi Shang and Feng Ci were in the MT Tong sect, the disciples of the ethereal sect became extremely excited. They shouted that they wanted revenge, that they wanted to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens, and that they wanted to rid the world of evil. Even the MT Tong sect leader couldn't stop them. The MT Tong sect leader even wanted to die. In the past, the ethereal sect relied on their sect leader and a few peak leaders to become the #1 sect in the cultivation world. But now, their sect leader was dead, and the peak leaders were either dead or injured. In the past few years, they had been deliberately suppressed by some people. They couldn't even compare to a second-rate sect, yet they still dared to be so arrogant. Shang Shu, come out and face your death. The group of people shouted their slogans as they surrounded Shi Shang's residence. Shi Shang was eating sunflower seeds as he looked at the people shouting outside with interest. These people were very energetic. Feng Ci said with some dissatisfaction, I'll shut them up. They're disturbing you. Shi Shang threw away the sunflower seed shell in his hand and said casually, let them shout. You just need to set up a barrier. Instead of arguing with these people, I'd rather cultivate. How can I act cool if I'm not strong enough? Feng Ci wouldn't go against Shi Shang's words. That would make her unhappy. But he wouldn't listen to Shi Shang completely either. When he was setting up the barrier, he purposely left his flames on it. As long as someone touched it, it would be unforgettable. Thus, the people of the ethereal sect realized that no matter how much they shouted, there was no movement from inside. If they hadn't confirmed that they were really staying here and hadn't left, they would have thought that the MT Tong sect was playing with them. Someone couldn't wait and suggested that they fight their way in. But this time, something happened. The first batch of disciples from the ethereal sect was almost completely annihilated. The new little fairy is so handsome. Tickets please, I want to book tickets for next week. Sob sob sob. Chapter 61. With the Misty Sect's cannon fodder, those who wanted to cause trouble gave up on the idea. Not a single living person could be seen within a few miles of where Shi Shang lived. When most of the people from the various sects had arrived, the sect tournament was about to begin. Yi Qingqiu and her people arrived on the first day of the sect tournament. Before she could even warm her seat, the first batch of disciples came to complain. Sect Master, Shang Shu injured us to this extent. You can't just let it go like this. You have to avenge our disciples. That's right, Sect Master. What she did was a slap to the Misty Sect's face. Sect Master, you have to avenge us. The indignant disciples surrounded Yi Qingqiu, all of them talking at once. In conclusion, there was only one sentence: avenge them. Yi Qingqiu became the sect master not long ago. After the previous sect master died, the position of Misty Sect's sect master had been empty. Those who could fight for it were all lying down. As for the others, even if they had the strength, they couldn't take up the position because they didn't have a proper name. The sect tournament was about to begin, so they naturally couldn't be without a sect master. Thus, the few peak masters who were still alive suddenly joined forces and asked Yi Qingqiu to take up the position. Yi Qingqiu agreed half-heartedly. Without the sect master's cheat, Yi Qingqiu had suffered quite a bit over the years. His entire person looked gloomy. "I'll take care of this matter for you all. Go and recuperate first. We can't lose the sect tournament." After comforting the disciples and sending them off, Yi Qingqiu slammed her hand on the table. Her face was ferocious as she spat out 2 words from between her teeth: "Shang Shu. This woman killed my master and destroyed the Misty Sect with a single fire. The suffering I've suffered over the past few years was all because of her. I'll get my revenge one day." "Little girl, are you that impatient?" A mocking voice rang out in the room. Yi Qingqiu was stunned. Her ferocious expression slowly faded away and she returned to her cold goddess self. "What do you want this time?" "Hee hee." The voice laughed strangely. "I smell something very nice." "Humph." A trace of disgust flashed through Yi Qingqiu's eyes. "This is the sect tournament. All the powers of the cultivation world are gathered here. Little girl, this is not up to you. If, you don't want to experience the consequences. You." Yi Qingqiu seemed to have thought of something and her face turned pale. Her body trembled slightly and her eyes were filled with hatred. Her hands were clenched into fists and her veins were popping out. The great sect competition was actually for each sect to send people up to spar and test the strength of each sect. To put it bluntly, it was to find out which family had gained more powerful fighters over the years. Shi Shang was quite interested in watching these people fight. He and Feng Ci occupied the best viewing area of the audience. Her area was so clean that it looked like it had been swept by a tornado. There was not a single living person in sight. Feng Ci directly burned all the things that were in the way and brought over a soft couch, snacks, spirit tea, and a parasol. His posture was even more relaxed than watching a show. Everyone trembled when they thought about how there was a witch and a great demon watching them while they were sparring. The Misty Sect's seat was opposite Shi Shang. Yi Qingqiu's gaze swept over Shi Shang from time to time. She had heard many rumors about him in the past 10 years, but this was the first time she had seen him. He didn't seem to have changed much in the past 10 years, but he had changed his clothes to black. It was a stark contrast to the man beside him, one black and one white. Who was that man? Why can't I see through Yi Qingqiu's cultivation? Can you see through it, Ci? Shi Shang tilted his head and looked at Feng Ci. She remembered that the female lead was only at the late stage of foundation establishment during the sect tournament. Now that she was at the peak of foundation establishment, she couldn't see through Yi Qingqiu's cultivation. Could it be that without the sect master's protection, the female lead had grown faster? Feng Ci only took a glance and retracted his gaze. He said indifferently, "Late stage of foundation establishment." Then why can't I see through it? There's a seal on her body. Do you need me to undo it? He couldn't be bothered to do anything that wasn't presentable. Shi Shang saw the hint of disdain in Feng Ci's eyes and couldn't help but look in Yi Qingqiu's direction. Her gaze just so happened to meet Yi Qingqiu's. Yi Qingqiu didn't have time to hide the hatred in her eyes and Shi Shang saw it. Shi Shang pursed his lips and smiled. Is there something wrong with her body? The contempt in Feng Ci's eyes deepened and his voice became more forceful. Don't look. It'll dirty your eyes. Shi Shang was speechless. What the hell was going on? Seeing Feng Ci's insistence, Shi Shang had no choice but to retract his gaze. If she went against him, she wouldn't be the one to suffer. It would definitely be the people around her. She didn't want to be attacked by a group yet. Nothing unexpected happened during the next few days of the competition. Shi Shang spent every day either watching the show or staying in her room. She didn't do anything out of line, causing those who were on tenterhooks to heave a sigh of relief. At night, Shi Shang yawned as he followed behind Feng Ci on a deserted mountain path. Feng Ci glanced back at him from time to time to make sure he was still following before continuing forward. "Where are we going?" Shi Shang caught up with Feng Ci in a few steps and walked side by side with him. "It's a moonless and windy night. Who made you angry that you want to kill someone in the dark?" "I'm not killing anyone." Feng Ci shook his head innocently. "I'll take you to see something." See something? Is it a live-action romance movie? What's in the host's head. Feng Ci seemed to be taking her to the MT Tong sect's forbidden area. Don't ask him how he knew. There were two big words, forbidden area, at the entrance of the sect. Anyone who wasn't blind could see it. The entire mountain was a forbidden area. What the hell was inside? Shi Shang suddenly wanted to back out. Wasn't it a little inappropriate to sneak into someone's forbidden area in the middle of the night? The path up the mountain was dark and gloomy. Feng Ci condensed 2 fireballs and placed them beside Shi Shang to illuminate her. When they were about to reach the top, Feng Ci put away the fireballs. Suddenly, he reached out and pulled Shi Shang into his arms. With a leap, he jumped onto a protruding rock above. Feng Ci carried her up a few steps, then put her down. "You'll be able to see it in a while." Shi Shang looked at the dark ground in front of him and patted his cheeks with both hands. Villains are so hard to please. They waited for nearly an hour. Shi Shang sat on the rock and was so bored that he started cultivating. When Feng Ci called him, he opened his eyes and saw the faint blue light all over the ground, outlining the outlines of flowers. It was very dreamy and beautiful. At this moment, she was sitting right in the middle of the blue light. This scene was like a movie's special effects. In the vast starry sky, the stars shone brightly. It was very stunning. The blue light flickered with the wind as if it was breathing. "Do you like it?" Feng Ci half knelt in front of Shi Shang and raised his head slightly. His dark red eyes were filled with anticipation. Shi Shang. Where did he learn this flirting skill? Does he feel uncomfortable if he doesn't flirt with me for a day? You don't like it? Feng Ci lowered his eyes in disappointment. A bright yellow flame jumped out of his hand. I like it, I like it. My dear Lord, is it really okay for you to start a fire without saying anything? This is someone else's forbidden area. Don't you know it's a forbidden area? Asterisk please vote, moi, 1,000 recommendation votes and 2 chapters. Chapter 62. Hearing Shi Shang say that she liked it, Feng Ci immediately extinguished the fire. This is a Siamese fluorescent flower. It's very rare. Siamese fluorescent flower. Never heard of it. If Feng Ci said it was rare, then it must be very rare. But even if it looked good, it was useless. It wasn't that the Siamese fluorescent flower was useless, it was just that it wasn't that useful to Shi Shang. If a disciple who hadn't reached foundation building could reach foundation building here, they would definitely succeed. No wonder the MT Tong sect listed this place as a forbidden area. After looking at the flowers, the two of them went back the way they came. Under the silvery moonlight, their figures occasionally overlapped. Shi Shang was a bit dazed. In her memory, no one had ever accompanied her like this before. Shi Shang's expression turned cold for a moment, but in the blink of an eye, she returned to her usual calm and indifferent appearance. Her gaze shifted from the figure in front of her to somewhere further away. The darkness concealed the emotions in her eyes. On the way up the mountain, Shi Shang suddenly pulled Feng Ci to hide behind a bush. Just as she pressed Feng Ci to crouch down, a black shadow flew past them from not too far away. The moonlight was quite bright today, allowing Shi Shang to clearly see who it was. Yi Qingqiu. What was she doing here so late at night? Could it be that she also came out for a date? Strange, why would she use also? But at a time like this, Of course he had to follow her and watch. While he was at it, he could also do some damage. Yi Qingqiu was very vigilant, so Shisheng didn't dare to get too close. Feng Xi looked at her in confusion for a while, then realized what Shisheng was doing. He set up a barrier around her and himself, then swaggered behind her. Oh shit, how could I forget about the villain? Shisheng was very confident in Feng Xi's barrier. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to take the Reaper's sword away unscathed with so many people watching over her. The place Yi Qingqiu was heading to was the forbidden area they had just left. She was so familiar with the place that it didn't seem like it was her first time here. Shisheng followed her to a cave. "Let me go. I beg you to let me go." A voice begging for mercy came from the cave. Shisheng raised his eyebrows in surprise. He felt his way to the entrance of the cave and peeked inside. There was plenty of light inside and the cave wasn't very big. A young girl was tied up and thrown into the middle of the cave. She was twisting her body in a strange position, begging for mercy. Yi Qingqiu stood to the side, coldly looking at her. "If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being chosen by him." Yi Qingqiu's voice was filled with disgust. "Hurry up." The last sentence was obviously not meant for the girl on the ground, but there was no other sound in the cave except for the girl's terrified pleas for mercy. There was no one else. However, the girl was changing. Her pleading voice became weaker and weaker, and she started to pant with a flushed face. It was as if Shisheng's vision suddenly darkened. Her eyes were covered by a pair of cold hands, and a murderous voice exploded in her ears. "Dirty! Shisheng! Dirty my ass!" Shisheng took a few deep breaths to stop himself from hitting Feng Xi. He reached out to pull Feng Xi's hands away. Feng Xi was dissatisfied with Shisheng's actions. How could he let her see such a scene? He didn't dare to use too much force, but he also didn't want Shisheng to see the scene inside. Seeing that Shisheng was about to pull his hands away, he pressed down on Shisheng's shoulders and pulled her into his embrace, pressing her head against his chest. Feng Xi rarely touched Shisheng. He would only grab Shisheng's hands when he felt uneasy. The most he did was hug her waist like before, but he had never hugged her so intimately before. First, Shisheng wouldn't allow it. Second, he was afraid that he would hurt her unconsciously. At that moment, Feng Xi felt like he could hear his heart thumping. Her soft body was tightly held in his embrace, and her body was pressed against his chest. Her body temperature was transmitted to him through her clothes. It wasn't warm, but boiling hot. This was his. He was all alone. Shisheng felt that Feng Xi was holding her tighter and tighter. She found it difficult to breathe, and her brain was short of oxygen. She squeezed out his name from between her teeth. "Xi." Her soft voice was like a spring that poured into Feng Xi's heart. He instantly sobered up. His dark red pupils were confused at first, and then he suddenly let go of Shisheng. He looked at Shisheng helplessly. "Did I hurt you? Where does it hurt? Don't be angry. I won't touch you again." Towards the end, Feng Xi's expression became somewhat downcast. Shisheng gasped for air. Fresh air rushed into his lungs, and Shisheng felt better. Her body was a little weak, but she didn't dare to get close to Feng Xi. She took a step back and leaned against the rock outside the cave. "Damn it, you scared me to death. Why did you suddenly have an attack? At least give me a hint." Seeing Shisheng's action, Feng Xi's eyes were filled with anger, but he suppressed it in an instant. There was a hint of pleading in his voice. "Don't be afraid of me." Anyone who saw his helpless look would find it unbearable. But Shisheng had just taken a trip to the edge of hell, and she felt that she was already very generous not to cut him with the sword of the Heaven Reaper. After calming down his wildly beating heart, Shisheng felt a little more clear-headed. If she hadn't resisted Feng Xi just now, he wouldn't have had an attack. So this was all her own fault. Flips table, why is it all my fault? I can't do this task anymore. I'm going to go on strike. Don't touch me again without my permission. Looking at Feng Xi's helpless and adorable look, Shi Shang couldn't say the harsh words that were on the tip of his tongue. He could only change his words bitterly. Feng Xi was a little confused. He stared at Shi Shang seriously, and after a long while, he nodded. I won't touch you. Don't leave me. Shi Shang. As if there was something going on between them. If she couldn't get close to him, this guy would probably burn her to ashes in minutes, the kind that wouldn't even blink an eye. There was no right or wrong in Feng Xi's world, but it wasn't based on his mood either. She didn't understand the principles behind his actions at all. He just attacked when he wanted to, without any rhyme or reason. When Shi Shang turned back to look at the cave, the girl had already turned into a dried corpse. A black fog had appeared beside Yi Qingqiu at some point, and half of the fog was still covering the dried corpse. What the hell is that? Yi Qingqiu didn't seem to have this kind of cheat in the storyline. Don't just randomly jump in. Demon. Feng Xi said in a low voice, that's the remnant soul of a demon. Demon? No, where did Yi Qingqiu get the remnant soul of a demon? Shi Shang wasn't surprised to hear the disdain in Feng Xi's voice. When he saw Yi Qingqiu at the sect tournament, he had the same expression of disdain and disdain. It was as if Yi Qingqiu was a dirty thing that would dirty his eyes just by looking at her. Although Feng Xi was a villain, he was also a proper villain. So when facing an elite villain like the demon, he didn't have the revolutionary feeling of being a villain at all. Shi Shang, Xian, Cherub, can you please vote? La 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 la, look at how cute I am. Chapter 63. Yi Qingqiu dealt with the corpse and came out of the cave. She walked down the mountain with a gloomy expression, completely oblivious to the two people standing outside the cave. She had made a contract with this demon 5 years ago. At that time, she had offended a few people and was chased to a cliff. She had no choice but to jump down. Without her knowledge, she had made a contract with this demon. By the time she woke up, it was already too late. If she wanted to get rid of this demon, she had to help him recover his body. But he needed a female cultivator with a water spirit root to recover his body, so the first one to suffer was her. Because of their contract, she didn't turn into a dried corpse. But she definitely didn't want to experience that feeling a second time, so she had no choice but to find another female cultivator with a water spirit root. If this was in the original plot, Yi Qingqiu would have the sect master's protection and everything would go smoothly. She wouldn't have fallen off the cliff and wouldn't have met this demon. Naturally, she wouldn't have experienced all this. Shi Shang naturally didn't know about this. Even if he did, he would only sigh and say that fate made fools of people. What the original owner experienced in the demon race was worse than death. Yi Qingqiu's experience couldn't even be considered an appetizer. When Shi Shang arrived at the competition site the next day, he found that everyone was so excited that it was as if they had eaten stride. They weren't as afraid of her as before. Some even had expressions of schadenfreude on their faces, as if they were waiting for her misfortune. What the hell happened in one night? Wasn't Yi Qingqiu the one who did something bad? Why are you looking at me like that? Which, our sect master invites you over. A few MT Tong sect disciples suddenly blocked Shi Shang's path. Just as they finished speaking, they were sent flying and crashed into a small forest in the distance, startling a few birds. Silence filled the surroundings. Shi Shang turned to look at Feng Xi. Why did you hit him out of the blue? Feng Xi blinked innocently and said seriously, I didn't kill him. Shi Shang. You didn't kill him, but you'll probably be bedridden for half a year now. Forget it, what's the point of reasoning with a villain? But why would the MT Tong sect master invite me over? Could it be that last night's incident was discovered and Yi Qingqiu pushed the blame onto me? Reality proved that Shi Shang's imagination was running wild. The sect master's invitation to him had nothing to do with Yi Qingqiu. Instead, it had something to do with the male lead. Someone from the celestial realm had arrived. Someone from the celestial realm had arrived. Unlike the first time they met, Long Ju now looked very much like a Prince Charming. He was immaculately dressed, had a dignified appearance, and was very handsome. He was the kind of Prince Charming that looked handsome no matter where he looked. Long Yang's deep gaze swept past Shi Shang and landed on Feng Ci. Feng Ci lowered his head and didn't look at Long Ju. It was incredibly awkward. "Why are you looking for me?" Shi Shang asked casually as he looked at the sect leader of the MT Tong sect, who was standing behind Long Ju. Let this baby admire the mighty and domineering posture of the male lead Darren? Sesuke, speaking of which, since the male lead is here, shouldn't he go find the female lead first? She didn't know what happened between the two of them after Long Ju took Yi Qingqiu away last time. Did they fight? Cough cough, it's like this. About the Reaper's sword. The MT Tong sect leader braced himself and finished his sentence. Shi Sheng finally understood what was going on. When the people of the Celestial Realm noticed the appearance of the Reaper's sword, they ordered Long Ju to bring it back and reseal it. Perhaps it was because they had been too peaceful these past few days that the sect leader of the MT Tong sect felt that they could negotiate peacefully, which was why they did this. If I hand it over, then wouldn't this baby have been chased for nothing for so long? I definitely won't do a losing deal. Moreover, Long Ju had killed the original owner of this body by 1,000 cuts. Impossible, I already gave the Reaper's sword to Feng Ci. Feng Ci looked up blankly. When did she give the Reaper's sword to him? Shi Shang took out the Reaper's sword on the spot and roughly shoved it into Feng Ci's hands. For you. This baby couldn't keep it, but how could the villain, Feng Ci, not be able to keep it? Everyone. How could you be so careless? Feng Ci, you should know better than me what the Reaper's sword is. Give it to me. Long Ju looked straight at Feng Ci. Feng Ci immediately hid the Reaper's sword behind his back. She gave it to me. I'm not giving it to you. That silly look didn't make him look like a villain at all. Instead, he looked like a child protecting his toy. Shi Sheng face-bombed. Villain Sama, bring out your domineering aura. This baby definitely won't stop you. Feng Ci, the higher-ups have all heard about what you've done in the cultivation world all these years. If you continue to act so recklessly, you'll definitely attract a heavenly tribulation. If you give the Reaper's sword to me, it'll be considered a good deed. No need. Feng Ci, are you going against the entire immortal realm? Feng Ci lifted his eyelids. A trace of ridicule appeared on his calm face. Haven't you all wanted me dead for a long time? For so many years, these people had been thinking about his death all the time. Because his fire would cause them harm. They were afraid. They were terrified. As immortals, they were also afraid of death. The negotiation failed. Long Ju didn't seem to dare to face Feng Ci directly. He could only watch as Feng Ci took the Reaper's sword and Shi Shang away. Taking the Reaper's sword back to the immortal realm was his mission. Naturally, he wouldn't let it go so easily. Since he had stayed behind, it was only natural that he would meet the female lead. The competition was about to end. Shi Shang was waiting for something to happen. She definitely didn't come here to watch a show. Who would be bored enough to watch a group of people poking around and not dying? She came here to find the person who had drugged Yi Qingqiu and slandered the original owner of the body. Of course, Shi Shang wasn't sure if this would happen again. After all, the plot had changed a lot. However, Shi Shang wasn't disappointed. She caught that person. It's actually her. Shi Shang sat on a lush tree trunk and looked down at the figure hurriedly walking past. Feng Ci looked at Shi Shang in confusion, then at the person below. Do you have a grudge? Kill. Shi Shang. Kill, kill, kill. You only know how to kill. This baby isn't such a bloodthirsty person. It's over with one stab. What's so fun about that? Shi Shang didn't stop the development of the situation. She wanted to see who Chu Ning would use as a shield this time, and at the same time, add fuel to the fire. Shi Shang smiled maliciously. She found someone to send a message to Chu Yi. Then, she packed up the people Chu Ning found and threw them down the mountain. Yi Qingqiu drank the drugged tea. In the plot, Yi Qingqiu didn't roll in the sheets with anyone. First, it was because she found out in time. Second, she had the sect master's help. Now that the sect master wasn't suppressing her with his spiritual energy, it was hard to say. Chu Yi quickly arrived at Yi Qingqiu's room. Not long after he entered, strange sounds came from inside. Perhaps the drug was too strong, but the two of them stayed in the room until the middle of the night. During this time, two people came. One was Chu Ning, and the other was Long Ju. Chu Ning left after hearing the sounds inside. Long Ju was probably here to find Yi Qingqiu. However, when he heard the sounds inside the room, his face darkened. The pressure around him was frighteningly low. He stood there for a while before turning to leave. You guys wanna have sex? Although it's not Feng Ci or Shishang. Haha, don't hit me. Woo woo, I'm a pure child, please vote. Chapter 64. The next day, Chu Ning brought a few Misty Sect disciples to Yi Qingqiu's door at dawn. She probably wanted to catch them in the act, but who knew that her brother would be the one who opened the door? Brother. You. Chu Ning pointed inside, then pointed at Chu Yi. Why are you here? Why is brother here? What about the people I called? Doesn't that mean brother and... Chu Ning panicked and grabbed Chu Ye's hand. Brother, tell me, you only came here in the morning, right? Chu Ye's ears turned red. Just thinking about what happened last night made his heart flutter. That wonderful feeling was something he would never forget. Moreover, it was the woman he had always liked. How could the disciples who came with Chu Ning not see what was going on? Chu Yi liking Yi Qingqiu wasn't something that happened in a day or two. Everyone was well aware of it. However, Yi Qingqiu had always treated Chu Yi calmly, and there was nothing special about it. How did they end up sleeping together today? Ning, what's the matter so early in the morning? Chu Yi tried his best to calm himself down. Chu Ning saw Chu Ye's expression and knew that he must have been the one with Yi Qingqiu last night. Her eyes turned red from anger and she bit her lower lip. She didn't know where she got the courage to push Chu Yi aside and charge in. Yi Qingqiu, you shameless woman. How dare you seduce my brother? Chu Ning charged into the room and cursed in a sobbing voice. Do you really think you're all that just because you're the sect master? What do you have to be so proud of? Shameless. I don't know what methods you use to become the sect master. Yi Qingqiu had already put on her clothes. Her already gloomy face turned even darker when Chu Ning came in. Get out. Yi Qingqiu, you shameless woman. I'll kill you today. Chu Ning was like an enraged lion. She pulled out her sword and charged forward. She looked like she wanted nothing more than to tear Yi Qingqiu to pieces. Yi Qingqiu's eyes were filled with killing intent. She waved her hand and Chu Ning was sent flying by an invisible force, crashing into the corner of the room. Get out. Yi Qingqiu coldly glanced at the disciples who followed her in. They cowered and quickly left the room, closing the door behind them. Which? The disciple who came out first saw the person standing on the stairs and called out. What are you doing so early? Shishang looked behind them curiously. It's none of your business. One of the disciples shouted. I'm just curious. Shishang smiled indifferently, but his smile was full of malice. Did someone sleep with your sect leader? You. If anyone were to sleep with someone, it should be their sect master sleeping with someone else. How could it be that their sect master was sleeping with someone else? Truly, nothing good comes out of a dog's mouth. Demoness, are you the one behind this? Sect master didn't like that brat Chu Yi at all, so why would he? It must be this demoness who did something to make that brat Chu Yi climb onto sect master's bed. How can you slander someone without any evidence? Everyone was exasperated. Was it still slander when there was evidence? Do you want me to tell you who did it? Shishang smiled maliciously. It's free. I won't charge you. Everyone involuntarily trembled and shouted angrily, don't talk nonsense. Do you think we will believe you? If you don't believe me, then forget it. Shishang pursed his lips and walked towards Feng Ci, who was standing under the tree. The demoness left just like that. You haven't even started sowing discord yet and you're already leaving? Come back. Tui, why did you come back? To kill us? Shisheng didn't leave. Instead, he stood under the tree with Feng Ci and watched them. The disciples were terrified. They wanted to ask, shouldn't you be busy as villains? Why do you still have time to stand here and watch us? In the room, Yi Qingqiu sat on the bed and looked at Chu Ning, who was forced to kneel on the ground. Chu Yi stood between the two of them in a dilemma. On one side was his sister, and on the other was his lover. Yi Qingqiu, you'll die a horrible death. Kill me if you can. Chu Ning's voice was hoarse from all the cursing. I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. You slut, seducing my brother. Ning, I'm the one who likes Sect Master. Even if it was seduction, it was me who seduced Sect Master. Chu Ye's face turned cold. Brother. Chu Ning raised her head and looked at Chu Yi in a daze. I'm your sister. You're actually speaking up for an outsider. Yi Qingqiu was the person he liked. How could she be an outsider? Enough. Yi Qingqiu stood up from the bed and looked down at Chu Ning. You know very well what you've done. Today's situation was caused by you. Chu Ning, I'll give you one more chance. Get out of the ethereal sect and never appear in front of me again. Yesterday, she only drank the tea she brought. What a coincidence, she came to find her early in the morning. Humph, who would believe that there was nothing fishy going on? No, I'm not leaving. I'll be wherever my brother is. Chu Ning panicked when she heard that Yi Qingqiu wanted to chase her away. It's not up to you. If you don't leave, then die. A trace of hostility flashed through Yi Qingqiu's eyes. Naturally, she wouldn't let Chu Ning go. However, she couldn't do anything to her here. Chu Yi was a little confused. He had no idea what they were talking about. However, when he saw his sister's expression, he understood. It wasn't that he didn't know about Chu Ning's possessiveness towards him. However, this would save him a lot of trouble. He didn't care about what she did to other people, but Yi Qingqiu was different. She was the person he liked. This disciple will send Ning away. Chu Yi cupped his hands towards Yi Qingqiu. His eyes were filled with greed as he looked at Yi Qingqiu a few times. He then pulled Chu Ning out. Brother, what are you doing? I'm not leaving. Let go of me. Let go. Brother, how can you abandon me for a woman? Have you forgotten how we relied on each other for survival? Brother, let go of me. I'm begging you. Don't chase me away. Brother. Chu Ning's voice gradually became softer. In the end, Chu Ning was still sent away. Yi Qingqiu faced the doubts of the disciples and gave a perfunctory explanation. The matter was over. It's you. Yi Qingqiu looked at the person walking towards her and a trace of surprise appeared in her eyes. Hair. Long Ju snorted mockingly. Sect Master Yi has really made me see you in a new light. Yi Qingqiu frowned slightly. She was a little flustered. Why do you say that, young master? The corner of Long Ju's mouth twitched as he strode past her. Yi Qingqiu watched as Long Ju's figure disappeared around the corner. She felt very uncomfortable. Why was he looking at her with such an expression? After he took her away from the forest of death, the teleportation talisman malfunctioned and sent them to a strange place. She had spent a lot of effort to bring him out when he was heavily injured. After spending a few days together, the estrangement from before had pretty much disappeared. Moreover, when he was heavily injured, she was the one who did everything. At that time, he clearly had feelings for her. So why was it that when they met this time? La la la, do you want to update? I'm still short of 200 recommendation votes. Chapter 65. News of Chu Ning's death came the day after she left. Chu Yi still had some feelings for Chu Ning, so when he heard that she was killed, he lost his temper. Yi Qingqiu had someone take Chu Yi away. She looked at the covered corpse with doubt. She had clearly thrown the corpse away, so why would it appear here? Could it be that someone saw her kill Chu Ning and wanted to use it as a warning? Who could it be? Yi Qingqiu returned to her room with a serious expression. Chu Yi was sitting in the room, and when he saw Yi Qingqiu, his eyes turned red. Yi Qingqiu's heart skipped a beat and she stood still. Chu Yi ran over and hugged Yi Qingqiu. Sect Master. Yi Qingqiu froze. After confirming that Chu Yi hadn't discovered anything, she patted his back. Although she did some bad things, don't worry, I'll avenge her. Chu Yi wasn't bad looking and his skills in bed weren't bad either. It wasn't that Yi Qingqiu didn't like him before, she just felt that his status wasn't good enough for her. But now that they had slept together, there was nothing to feel awkward about. As she comforted him, the two of them rolled onto the bed. After a round, Chu Yi lay on the bed, so tired that he couldn't even lift his eyelids. On the other hand, Yi Qingqiu was full of energy and her face was glowing. She glanced at Chu Yi, who had already fallen asleep, and a mocking expression appeared on her face. She formed a hand seal and a water dragon suddenly appeared on the bed. A furnace. If I use it well, it's hard to say who will be the furnace. This was something she discovered after her last time with Chu Yi. Originally, she was just a step away from reaching the peak of foundation establishment, but after her time with Chu Yi, she crossed that threshold. Water spirit veins were publicly acknowledged as the best furnace in the cultivation world, but she didn't seem to be the one who was harvested. She later asked that demon, and he told her that it was because of his existence that she went from the one who was harvested to the one who was harvested. She tested it out just now and found that he was right. Yi Qingqiu's gaze fell on Chu Ye's body and she lay on top of him again. Chu Yi was in a daze, but the moment he touched Yi Qingqiu's body, he instinctively responded to her. I heard someone went missing again? Several MT Tong sect disciples chatted as they went down the mountain. How many times has it been? Master told us to search in secret, but there are so many people here, how are we supposed to find him? The way I see it, it might be those two over there who did it. One of the male disciples pointed at the distant mountain peak with his mouth. Sure, you don't want to live anymore. The person next to him immediately hit the male disciple. Don't say such things. Master said that this matter should have nothing to do with them. Why? I heard from Master that when two people went missing, they both had alibis. What if they used some underhanded means? That makes sense. In any case, they are the biggest suspects. After the group of people had walked far away, a black shadow came out from behind a big tree and stared at the backs of those people thoughtfully. Shang wasn't surprised that Long Ju had come to visit. After all, the Reaper's sword was still in her hands. But, what was Yi Qingqiu doing here? The MT Tong sect leader is also here. I'm not familiar with the other sect leaders behind him. TSK, is there a meeting? Not only did he not want to hold the sect-wide tournament, but he also wanted to hold a meeting at her place? A meeting to criticize? Shang's courtyard wasn't very big. With so many people standing there, it immediately became a bit congested. Moreover, these people were all carrying weapons, which made the courtyard even more cramped. Shang stood at the door and waved her hand impatiently. Why are you blocking my door so early in the morning? Come and pay your respects as a group. No need, we're not interested in such things. Everyone. Who's here to pay their respects? Do you think you're the emperor? Look at their indignant faces. Look at their determination to defend the righteous path. Which, hand over the people or don't blame us for being impolite. A sect leader shouted and pointed his weapon at Shang. Hand over who? Shang was confused. When did she kidnap people? Mu Qing from the Blazing Flame sect, Yi Yao from the Purple Chen sect. 5 names and sects were read out. Which, you didn't capture these people? Hurry up and hand them over. No matter how angry the people in front of her were or how indignant they were, Shang's face remained calm. After they finished yelling, she finally said slowly, I don't know them. Shongshu, Feng Ci isn't by your side. I advise you to hand them over. Long Ju waved his hand to signal for everyone to be quiet. Those people are innocent girls. What have they done to offend you? Shi Shang looked around. Feng Ci, who wouldn't be more than 10 steps away from her in the past, really wasn't by her side. Stop looking for him. He won't be back any time soon. Shang Shu, hand them over. Long Ju said coldly. I don't have them, but I do have a life. Do you want it? Come and get it. Shi Shang's eyes curved into crescents. Which, I'll enforce justice on behalf of the heavens today. Die. Let's go together and capture the witch alive. All kinds of spells were thrown at Shi Shang as if they were free. Shi Shang's black robe rippled with a layer of white light, blocking the spells. It's a sorcerer's robe. F***CK, she's wearing a magic weapon on her head. Curses rang out one after another. They hadn't seen her wear many things before, but now they realized that everything on her body was defensive, from small items like a button to large items like her clothes. Most of them were golden core cultivators, and there were also a few nascent soul cultivators. However, none of them could cause any harm to Shi Shang. It was obvious how powerful those things on her body were. Perhaps they weren't magic weapons. If they weren't magic weapons, then they were immortal weapons. In the cultivation world, if a big sect had an immortal artifact, they would have to offer it up. Thinking of this, many people couldn't help but be envious. The equipment on Shi Shang's body was naturally given to her by Feng Ci. After robbing so many places over the years, it wasn't difficult for him to give her a full set of equipment. You want to rob me again? Shi Shang dodged a few attacks and jumped onto the roof. She looked down at the people below with a mocking expression. Didn't you look down on me? What, do you want to copy me and rob me? Robbing people was a common occurrence in the cultivation world. Those who lost were not convinced and would make up all kinds of stories about those who won. She had won a lot of robberies, which was why she was called the witch. Which one of the things on your body wasn't stolen by you? Oh, so you're saying that you refined all the things on your body? I didn't know you were so powerful. I'm sorry for the disrespect. You. That sarcastic tone made that person unable to continue speaking. Only those people who were rich enough to make one's hair stand on end might have never robbed others of their belongings. If an ordinary person wanted a good weapon or a life-saving pill, which one would not need to rob? Even among the large sects, they would rob each other. Asterisk 1000 recommendation votes 1. There's another chapter to follow. Please vote 2000 recommendation votes 2 more chapters. Chapter 66. Cut the crap. Hurry up and hand her over. This wasn't a good topic, so someone changed the topic back to the main point. I wasn't the one who captured her, but, if you want to know who it was, I can tell you, Shi Shang said with a smile. How could it not be you? That's right. Who else would do something like this besides you? Although these people were talking, their faces were filled with doubt. They didn't know what was going on either. They only heard Long Ju and the MT Tong sect master talking about it. Yi Qingqiu's heart sank. She looked up at Shi Shang. Shi Shang was looking at her with a mocking smile, but his eyes were as calm as a pool of stagnant water. This woman must die. Shang Shu, are you still trying to sow discord between us? Yi Qingqiu stepped forward. She's stalling for time. Don't fall for it. With Yi Qingqiu's reminder, everyone snapped out of their daze. No matter what happened, she had done so much. Getting rid of her would be a great merit. But if Feng Ci came back, they didn't dare to imagine that scene. I'll hold her back. You guys set up the formation. Long Ju flew up and attacked Shi Shang. Long Ju's cultivation was higher than Shi Shang's. Even if Shi Shang had a full body of top-grade equipment, he could only protect himself from injury. It was impossible for him to hurt Long Ju. Long Ju didn't use his full strength either. He only forced Shi Shang to the center of the courtyard. Shi Shang saw through his intentions and didn't dare to enter the courtyard. Just as he was about to leave, Yi Qingqiu suddenly appeared behind him and slapped him on the back. Shi Shang staggered. Long Ju took the opportunity to send out a gust of wind and threw Shi Shang to the ground. The moment he landed, he seemed to have touched something. A bright light shone and enveloped Shi Shang. The figures outside swayed. F***ck. As expected, my cultivation is too low. Shi Shang lowered her head to look at the clear stripes and flowing white light of the formation beneath her. She felt a bit stifled. She bit her finger and drew a blood talisman in the air. Her face was a little pale, but there was no panic in her eyes. She was still as calm as ever. After finishing the last stroke, the light disappeared. She could clearly see the people outside, and the people outside could also clearly see her. What is that? The sect leader of MT Tong's sect looked at the blood talisman floating in front of Shi Shang in astonishment. The woman in the array formation had her black robes fluttering in the wind. Amidst the austere atmosphere, she was so quiet that it was like she was in another world. The calmness in her eyes bordered on indifference, as if what they were doing was nothing more than a laughable one-man show in her eyes. Shi Shang raised his index finger, and the people outside subconsciously held their breaths. Everyone, please remember what happened today. Shi Shang's voice came through the array. It was a little broken, but they heard it clearly. As soon as she finished speaking, her index finger lightly touched the blood talisman. The originally white array was instantly dyed blood red. The surrounding scenery was blurred, dimmed, and lost its luster. Only the black-robed woman was left standing in the red light. Everything in the world was silent at that moment, as if they were afraid of disturbing her. The red light spread from the bottom of the array formation. Everything was in slow motion, slowly obscuring her figure. Shi Shang slowly pulled out a sarcastic smile. Just as her vision was about to be obscured by the red light, a figure suddenly rushed towards her. Then, her vision was completely immersed in the red light. Shi Shang propped himself up and sat up. The blood in his chest churned, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Shi Shang wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and sneered, "The male and female leads are indeed undefeatable when they work together." At that time, she clearly had the ability to dodge, but at that moment, she felt the air tighten around her. Her body stiffened for a second, and in that second, Long Ju flipped her over. And that array formation. They actually used such a high-level array formation to deal with her. She really had to thank them for thinking so highly of her. Shi Shang exhaled slightly. Her organs felt like they were being torn apart. She calmed herself down and began to look around. She was at the bottom of a very strange cliff. There was a thin line, and it was very deep. Strange plants grew all around her, and they were stretching their bodies maliciously towards Shi Shang. Shi Shang raised her head and looked for a while. Her cultivation was now crippled. Her last move was inherited from the original owner's memories. That blood talisman could turn the power of any array formation into her own and open a passage to the demon realm. However, the price was that her cultivation would be crippled. Yes, the demon realm. She was now in the demon realm. In the end, everything was going according to the plot. Now, the important thing was, how was she going to get up? Wait a minute. Did she forget something? Holy shit. Feng Ci. The last person to pounce at him was none other than Feng Ci. Logically speaking, he should have been repelled by the array, but Feng Ci was not an ordinary person. He might have followed her. The array formation had a range. If he really came, he should be nearby. Shi Shang dragged her body around in a circle. In the end, she found Feng Ci on a large purple flower on the cliff. He seemed to have fainted. He was lying on the flower with his hands dangling in the air. So now, it wanted her, a cripple, to bring that guy down from a few meters high? She couldn't do it. System, she wanted a cheat. She really couldn't do it this time. She had messed up. Do you want to use the system store? Shi Shang. I wanted a cheat. Host, you have 3 seconds to consider. Do you want to use the system store? Countdown starts now. 3, 2. Yes, F***ck. The panel she saw before appeared in front of her. Shi Shang glanced at it and finally stopped at the item called Flying Carpet, 2,000 points. Damn it, why don't you go rob a bank? A one-time item is actually so expensive. Will the Bureau of Commodity Prices treat you to tea? Where can I complain? She wanted to complain. Do you want to exchange? Change balls, no. Save the points to exchange for a space battleship. Her dream was to conquer the universe. Shi Shang angrily closed the store. She turned around and pulled out a ladder from the grass beside her. So, where did the host get this from? Shi Shang put Feng Ci down. She felt like she was going to collapse. Damn it, she was a patient. The plants here looked weird. Shi Shang didn't dare to stay here for long. He dragged Feng Ci to a place where there were no plants. It was a protruding rock. The space below was quite spacious. Shi Shang put Feng Ci down and sat on the ground, panting. Cough, cough. Shi Shang covered his chest and coughed a few times. The taste of blood filled his mouth. It was a really uncomfortable feeling. Host, I hope you can take this as a warning. The male and female protagonists are very lucky. You don't belong to this world. If you attack them, you will be severely punished. The system's cold voice sounded in Shi Shang's mind. So, why is there a mission to take revenge on the male and female protagonists? Shi Shang stared at Feng Ci's side profile and asked in a low voice. This is not something the system can choose. Host, you must remember not to attack the male and female protagonists directly. A cold glint flashed across Shi Shang's eyes. She had suffered once, so she would remember. Asterisk 1000 recommendation votes. Second chapter 2000 recommendation votes and 2 chapters. Begging for votes, begging for rewards, begging for collections, begging for reviews. Chapter 67. By the time Feng Ci woke up, Shi Shang was standing outside the boulder, her head tilted upwards. Little Shu. Feng Ci saw her figure and suddenly jumped up from the ground. He rushed to her side and hugged her from behind. Thank goodness you're okay. Cough, cough, cough. Shi Shang was caught off guard and coughed violently. The faint smell of blood spread between them. What's wrong? Feng Ci let go of Shi Shang and turned to her. Why is your face so pale? Why is your cultivation gone? Is it because of those people? Don't be afraid, I'll take revenge for you. They can die however you want. Shi Shang took a deep breath and glanced up. Her expression changed, but she couldn't say anything. She could only point up. Feng Ci's dark red eyes were filled with worry. He didn't understand Shi Shang's actions and looked at her in confusion. Shi Shang's chest rose and fell quickly. Suddenly, she pulled him to the side. There was the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground behind them. Shi Shang was leaning against the wall. Feng Ci was on top of her, and his cold lips happened to touch the corner of her lips. Feng Ci's eyes were wide open, and his long eyelashes were trembling. The two were so close that they could hear each other's breathing. Feng Ci suddenly tilted his head and pecked Shi Shang's lips. Then, he jumped away as if he had been electrocuted. His eyes wandered to the side, and the tips of his ears turned slightly red. Shi Shang was stunned for a moment. Then, her lips curled into a smile. Her face turned bitter because of her internal injury. If I keep going like this, I won't be able to recover. Help me. Shi Shang reached out her hand to Feng Ci. Feng Ci's face was red. He carefully supported Shi Shang and didn't dare to look at her. Feng Ci was very nervous. Would she be angry? Would she leave him? No matter, she could only stay with him. If she wanted to leave him, he would. Feng Ci was suddenly at a loss. If she really wanted to leave him, what should he do? If it was in the past, he would lock her up without hesitation. But, if he locked her up, she would definitely be angry. He did not like her to be angry. He liked her to smile at him. In just a few seconds, Shi Shang had no idea that Feng Ci's mind had already turned several times. Shi Shang was looking at the place where they were standing just now. There were two snakes intertwined together. They were engrossed in their entanglement, making hissing sounds from time to time. It was as if they didn't notice that there were two people standing not far from them. Feng Xi's face darkened when he saw the two snakes. He covered Shi Shang's eyes. "Don't look. Shi Shang, what's the point of covering your eyes now that you've seen everything you need to see?" She was looking at these two snakes just now. F***ck, they were hanging on a tree. It was so difficult. Who knew that when Feng Xi came over, the two snakes suddenly started to fall down. Shi Shang heard a crackling sound. When she saw the light again, there was only a pile of ashes left on the ground. "Shi Shang, you burned me when I was having sex with you, at least let me enjoy myself for the last time." "It's dirty." Feng Xi stubbornly blocked Shi Shang's line of sight. "Just look at me. Look at you. Asterisk flips table asterisk although you're quite good looking, you should change your taste after looking at you for a long time. Besides, it's just two snakes. Is it necessary? Is it necessary?" Shi Shang was afraid that Feng Xi would act up again, so he nodded sullenly. Shi Shang didn't know if Feng Xi's strength could be withstood, so he didn't dare to let Feng Xi heal him. He could only slowly adjust his breathing. After building his foundation, he didn't need to eat anymore. He just needed to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. However, Shi Shang couldn't do that now. He had to eat. Feng Xi didn't know what he could and couldn't eat. Most of the things he brought back were inedible. Shi Shang was very upset. Shi Shang looked around and finally found a few fruits that were edible. They didn't taste good. They were sour and astringent. Shi Shang ate them until he was about to cry. "Why don't you drink my blood?" Feng Xi squatted in front of Shi Shang and carefully suggested. "Blood." Shi Shang bit into a green fruit. It was so sour that his face scrunched up. "Why would I drink your blood?" "I don't drink blood. My blood can heal your injuries quickly. Also..." Feng Xi hesitated. He looked into Shi Shang's eyes and said word by word, "Also, it can help you recover your cultivation." Shi Shang swallowed the sour fruit and spoke with her tongue stuck out. "Your blood has this kind of effect? Why didn't I know about it? The plot didn't mention this." No wonder he didn't say anything when he found out that his cultivation was gone. A smile appeared on Feng Xi's face. He moved closer to Shi Shang. "Why else do you think those people in the immortal world want me dead so badly? Are they really just afraid of me?" Shi Shang paused. He could feel the sadness coming from Feng Xi. It was like, "Oh." Shi Shang lowered his eyes. He took another fruit and continued chewing. He said with slight disdain, "I don't like to drink blood. But my blood can help you recover your cultivation." Although he was happy that she didn't show any of that disgusting greed, if she didn't recover her cultivation, how could he take her to take revenge? "Be good." "I don't like blood." Shi Shang patted Feng Xi's head. "You won't have a good ending if you reap what you sow. I prefer things that I work hard for." Even if she snatched it. Also, based on the information he revealed just now, if she really drank his blood, she might die here. There was no reason to talk to a sick and delicate princess. Most importantly, she could look at his blood, but he wanted her to drink it? Damn it! Feng Xi's eyes were filled with joy. He asked seriously, "Xiaoshu, you'll be with me forever, right?" Cough cough. Shi Shang choked. His mouth was full of sour juice. Damn it, he confessed just like that. Why did he change the topic so quickly? Weren't they talking about drinking blood just now? Feng Xi saw that Shi Shang was coughing badly and looked at him helplessly. He pursed his lips. Suddenly, he cupped Shi Shang's face and kissed him. Shi Shang was startled by the handsome face in front of her. It wasn't until she felt something soft brush past her lips that she snapped out of her daze. She subconsciously tried to push Feng Xi away. Ugh. Feng Xi took the opportunity to hug Shi Shang. She didn't have any strength and was tightly trapped in Feng Xi's arms. His kiss was a little clumsy. Because of Shi Shang's resistance, he seemed a little impatient. However, his actions were still gentle. Xiao Shu, don't move. I'll leave myself to you. Feng Xi's voice suddenly sounded in Shi Shang's mind. Shi Shang felt as if he had been struck by lightning. What do you mean by leaving him to me? Hey, it's fine if you flirt with me normally, but are you trying to flirt with me in bed now? I won't be responsible if I sleep with you. Prepare your own pot lid and escape, plead for votes, angels, come and love me with your votes. La la la, I still love you guys. Chapter 68. Shi Shang didn't see any of the movie clips that flashed through her mind. She only felt a warm sensation slide down her throat from her mouth and down her esophagus. She felt as if her body was being enveloped by a gentle force. Feng Xi had already let go of her. His lips were glistening. Don't be afraid. Relax. Shi Shang didn't have time to say anything. Her vision went black. In the next instant, Shi Shang, who had fallen into darkness, saw countless intersecting paths made of flames appear in front of her. She was standing on one of them. What the hell is this place? Shi Shang tried to touch the flames, but she couldn't feel anything as the flames passed through her palm. Kill him. He's a monster. Don't play with him. He's a monster. He's a monster. The childish voices of children came from the front. Shi Shang looked ahead. On a flaming path, a few children were surrounding a boy who was on fire and throwing things at him. The boy stood in the middle and didn't move at all, allowing those sharp objects to hit him. In the blink of an eye, his forehead and cheeks were covered in bruises. Bright red blood flowed down the boy's cheeks, dyeing half of his face red. But he still didn't make a sound. The children who were throwing things seemed to be frightened and scattered. As Shi Shang approached him, he seemed to have sensed a presence and turned to look at her. Shi Shang paused. She was suspicious. He can see me? Go home. A harsh reprimand came from behind her. Shi Shang turned around and saw a beautiful woman standing not far away. She was looking at them with disgust. The boy lowered his head and wiped the blood from his forehead. He walked step by step toward the beautiful woman. The scene suddenly blurred, and the two figures disappeared. Even your biological parents don't want you anymore. You monster. Ha ha ha, look at him. Doesn't he look like an abandoned pet? If you weren't a monster covered in flames, we might have been merciful enough to take you home and raise you. Shi Shang turned her head to look. On another flaming path, a slightly older child was squatting on the ground, hugging his knees as he stared blankly at the ground. After those people ridiculed him for a while, they actually began to throw things at him. Perhaps this was their pleasure. They had already prepared things on their bodies, which were very sharp stones. They threw them all at the boy's face. A monster that no one wants. A monster that no one wants. The boy who had been quiet all this time suddenly stood up. His empty eyes were filled with ferocious hatred. The flames on his body surged and swept towards the few people. Two of them ran slowly and were touched by the flames. They instantly screamed. The rest were frightened by this unforeseen event and ran far away. Curses and cries mixed together. The boy lay on the ground on his last breath. The flames on his body burned wildly, making him look like he was being roasted by fire. The scene changed again, and the boy had grown into a young man. The young man was imprisoned in a small world, and his expression was neither sad nor happy. You're really a monster. A man in white clothes stood in front of the young man. His face was filled with ecstasy. As expected, danger and opportunity coexist. Ha ha ha, this sovereign will dominate the immortal world in the future. It's only a matter of time before I unify all the realms. The man controlled a dagger and cut a bloody wound on the young man's wrist. The dagger didn't make it very far before it turned to ashes. The man's expression changed. Your power has increased again. The man made a hand seal and the chains rattled. The young man curled up into a ball, his face contorted in pain. Monster, if you dare use fire again, you'll suffer. The man took some blood and left with a maniacal laugh. He didn't see the young man behind him raise his head and look at him. His gaze was so cold. It was like a pond in the dead of winter. Shi Sheng walked along the small path. He saw the boy's birth, his growth, his loathing, disdain, abandonment, and imprisonment. Finally, he broke out of his cocoon. He became the most special existence in the immortal world. Everyone wanted to kill him, but no one could. Shi Sheng stopped in his tracks. An unusual ripple appeared in his calm eyes. Feng Ci, she murmured. The next second, she sneered. Flames danced in the depths of her eyes. The corners of her mouth lifted slightly, forming a faint arc. But that smile didn't reach her eyes. The path around her suddenly disappeared. She was standing in the middle of an endless sea of flames. The raging flames made her feel very small. It was exactly the same as the sea of flames she saw when she first came to this world. But she didn't feel that kind of pain now. Instead, she felt a very comfortable intimacy. The flames were like fish in water. They flowed endlessly into her body, repairing her damaged meridians. Her dantian was wrapped in layers of flames. A faint golden light poured out from within. Time passed by slowly. An unknown amount of time passed. Golden light poured out from her dantian. A majestic power instantly filled her body. It surged through her body like a flood. A round golden pearl floated in her dantian. It was surrounded by a circle of flames. It looked like a golden core floating above a sea of flames. The two sides didn't interfere with each other, but neither did they repel each other. A golden core. This was the golden core realm. Shi Sheng opened his eyes and looked at the person squatting beside him. He suddenly grinned and said in a clear voice, Feng Ci, from now on, I will accompany you until the end of your life. Until the end of your life. This was the only promise she could afford to make. Feng Ci was stunned for a moment. He blinked twice. Then, his heart throbbed. This was the first time she had given him such a direct answer. I will also accompany you, no matter how long it takes, Feng Ci said seriously. Shi Sheng's eyes curved. He tilted his head. What did you feed me? Not only did she recover her cultivation, but she also broke through to the golden core. Also, Shi Sheng raised her hand and a small flame appeared with a whoosh. She could use Feng Ci's flames. I don't know what that is either. Feng Ci shook his head in confusion. But it's very useful. From now on, no matter where you are, I will be able to find you. No one will be able to hurt you. Shi Sheng touched his heart. For some reason, he felt that the thing Feng Ci fed him had melted into his heart. Xiaoshu, you can't leave me in the future. Feng Ci reached out and pulled Shi Sheng into his arms. Perhaps it was because there was a part of him in her body, but he wouldn't lose control like last time. Sometimes, he still couldn't help but want to imprison her. Fortunately, he could control those thoughts. Shi Sheng didn't struggle and let him hug her. Although she had broken through to the golden core realm, she didn't have much strength now. She felt exhausted from overexertion. She didn't know if it was because of the thing Feng Ci fed her. Asterisk pleading for votes, there's a surprise with 2,000 recommendation votes, you guys are so filthy. Xiao Shang and Feng Ci are pure. Take the blame and escape. Don't hit me. It hurts. Chapter 69. There was no sense of time in the mountains. Shi Shang and Feng Ci stayed at the bottom of the cliff until she broke through to the Great Ascension stage. Because of the flames, it wasn't difficult for Shi Shang to cultivate. After the Great Ascension stage was the tribulation, which depended entirely on one's luck. After the Great Ascension stage, one's cultivation wouldn't increase significantly. Aside from a hint before the tribulation, one wouldn't know when the tribulation would arrive. Some people didn't experience tribulation for hundreds or even thousands of years after reaching the Great Ascension stage. Tribulation couldn't be rushed, so Shi Shang could only give up and leave the bottom of the cliff with Feng Ci. Outside was a barren land. Shi Shang let out pudding, who hadn't appeared in a long time. Pudding huffed and puffed unhappily, but when Feng Ci glared at her, she quickly grew bigger. Feng Ci carried Shi Shang up with no intention of letting her go. He and Shi Shang had stayed at the bottom for so long, but Shi Shang spent 99% of his time cultivating. Other than staring at her and chasing away the creatures that ran around them, he didn't do anything else. Now that he could carry Shi Shang, he felt the emptiness in his heart fill up. How could he let her go? The demon realm was bigger than Shi Shang imagined. With Pudding's speed, they flew for nearly 3 days before they left the barren land. The outside world was no different from the cultivation world. The demons didn't have 3 heads and 6 arms. If it wasn't for the fact that the spells they used were unique to the demon race, it would be impossible to tell them apart from human cultivators. From what he heard from the demons, the seal on the demon realm hadn't been broken yet, so Yi Qingqiu should still be in the cultivation world. How are we going to get out? Feng Ci rested his chin on Shi Shang's shoulder and asked in confusion. Break the seal on the demon realm, of course. How else are we going to get out? Shi Shang said casually. I don't have the female lead skills, so I can't tear space with my bare hands. The seal on the demon realm is going to be broken anyway. Isn't it the same if it's broken sooner or later? Also, Feng Ci frowned, but he didn't say anything. As long as she was happy, even if she wanted to become the ruler of the devil realm, he would bring the throne to her. The devil realm was sealed in a lake. In the memories of the original owner, there was a way for the devil clan to break the seal. However, she didn't expect that when she arrived, the devil clan was already setting up the seal. Moreover, they were almost done. Demon Lord, we are just 1 step away. The demon disciple looked at the man standing in front of the lake with respect and fear. The man was dressed in a black robe embroidered with a totem representing the devil lord. His silver hair fluttered in the wind, and his posture was straight. He was surrounded by a cold and oppressive aura. The demon monarch of the demon realm, Jun Wuqi. Jun Wui looked at the lake that did not have the slightest ripple and asked, "Have you found him?" The demon disciple was silent for 3 seconds before stiffly replying, "No. Continue to search. Even if you have to turn the entire devil world upside down, you must find him." Jun Wuqi's eyes flashed with a cold light. The last step was also the most important step. Yes. The demon disciple quickly left. Soon, only Jun Wuqi was left in the lake. He stared at the surface of the lake. Suddenly, he raised his hand and rolled up a water dragon, throwing it into the forest. A fire dragon rushed out of the forest and collided with the water dragon. With a bang, the water in the lake swayed like boiling water. Jun Wuqi narrowed his eyes and looked at the flames that had not yet been extinguished. His water dragon had already disappeared, but the fire dragon had only been scattered. With such a simple confrontation, he could see the depth of the other party. When did the devil world have someone more powerful than him? Since you're here, you might as well come out. Since the other party did not kill him, it meant that they did not want to fight him. A woman in a black robe came out of the forest. Her appearance was gorgeous. The black robe on her body did not make her look dark at all. Instead, it made her skin look as lustrous as jade and her eyes were bright. She leisurely walked over with a smile on her face. However, there was not the slightest ripple in her eyes. Demon Lord. Shi Shang smiled and took back the remaining flames in the air. Jun Wuqi narrowed his eyes even more. In his heart, he was more and more afraid of Shi Shang. He was very sure that there was no such person in the devil world. Shi Shang calmly sized up Jun Wuqi. This man was the demon lord of the devil world. At the same time, he was also the supporting male lead. When Jun Wuqi left the devil world, he met the female lead who came to check the seal of the devil world. Naturally, the two of them hooked up. The reason why the female lead could solve the problem of the devil world so quickly and successfully ascend was because of the help of the demon lord, Jun Wuqi. And now, Jun Wuqi was at a crucial moment in opening the seal of the devil world. He needed someone. Unfortunately, that person was her. I don't like to talk nonsense. I can help you open the seal, but you have to promise me one thing. This seal required the blood of the original owner. As for the reason, Shi Shang was not clear. Perhaps it was because of the plot. In any case, the world of novels could not be explained with common sense. Can you help this June open the seal? Jun Wuqi emphasized every word. So many demon monarchs had failed to open this seal, but this young woman was telling him so casually that she could open the seal. Although it was completely unbelievable, when he thought of the move she showed before, he was a little shaken. Maybe she really could do it? Shi Shang smiled. I know you don't believe me, but it's okay. I can help you open the seal first. Then we can talk about the conditions. How about it? Jun Wuqi had no other good points except for his promise. Even if he did not abide by it, Shi Shang would not lose anything. She was going to go out anyway. Right now, she was just taking the initiative. Okay. Jun Wuqi could not say anything harsh. After all, this woman's strength was there for all to see. Those flames that she could control and release freely gave him a very bad premonition. His premonition told him not to provoke her. Shi Shang walked to the edge of the lake and turned his head. Demon Lord, tell your people to get ready. Aren't you looking for me? The corners of Shi Shang's mouth twitched. Without waiting for Jun Wuqi's reaction, he pulled up his sleeve and drew a line of blood. Blood dripped into the lake and mist spread out. Only then did Jun Wuqi react. He hurriedly ordered the demons hidden in the dark to come out and surround the lake to cast spells. Seeing that it was about time, Shi Shang covered his hand and quickly retreated from the encirclement. Almost at the same time, Feng Ci appeared beside her. He pinched her wrist and asked nervously, "Does it hurt?" Shi Shang casually pressed on the wound. "It doesn't hurt." This small injury, compared to the previous injuries, was simply a drop in the ocean. Feng Ci stopped her and raised her wrist to his lips. The tip of his tongue lightly licked the wound. A cool feeling spread from the wound. When Feng Ci finished licking the blood off her wrist, there was no longer any wound on her wrist. It was as white as jade. There won't be a next time. Feng Ci pulled her sleeve back down. His expression was gloomy. I don't like it when you get hurt. You can't hurt yourself. Shi Shang, if I don't cut my wrist, how am I going to go out? I'm not the female lead. I don't have the ability to tear space with my bare hands, okay? Don't be confused about why the female lead is so awesome. If you don't like this kind of story, you can choose to cross out, I don't write growth-type female leads. I won't say that I'll fail if I write growth-type female leads. This is not Cheng Zhongwen. This is not Cheng Zhongwen. This is not Cheng Zhongwen. Nonsense. 3 times. Alright, Cherub, let's vote. 2,000 votes. Chapter 70. Purple Bamboo Mountain. The place where the demon world was sealed. The bamboo here was purple and was said to be immortal bamboo. The bamboo on the entire mountain was planted according to a formation used to seal the demon world. Many people from the cultivation world were gathered here, led by the Misty Sect and the MT Tong Sect. It had been 400 years since Shi Shang disappeared. In these 400 years, Yi Qingqiu had once again developed the Misty Sect into the #1 cultivation sect in the cultivation world. It was the kind of sect that others could only look up to. Sect Master Yi, are we just going to watch the demons come out? A man in a green Taoist robe looked at the woman surrounded by the crowd. Yi Qingqiu's expression was cold and she looked like a cold goddess, causing many people to look at her. Otherwise, what other brilliant ideas do you have, Sect Master Lin? Yi Qingqiu's red lips parted slightly. Her every movement carried the aura of a superior. She was already in the Mahayana realm, so she naturally didn't need to care about anyone's opinion. Sect Master Lin scratched his head awkwardly. If he had a brilliant idea, would he still need to ask her? But she was now a Mahayana realm cultivator and the Misty Sect's sect master, so he could only back off awkwardly. Yi Qingqiu cleared her throat and swept her gaze across the crowd. This matter has already been spread to the celestial realm. All we can do now is try our best to control it and wait for the people from the celestial realm to come down." Everyone looked at each other and in the end, they all agreed. The demons were bloodthirsty and brave. The cultivation world wasn't as good as before, so how could they have the ability to seal the demons? Wang. A violent tremor came from the front. The sea of bamboos rustled, followed by crackling sounds. The bamboos fell, and above the fallen bamboos, something like a black hole suddenly appeared. As soon as Shi Shang stepped out of the demon world, he saw people wearing all kinds of Taoist robes and holding weapons. They were alert and nervous. With the swaying purple bamboo in the background, they looked quite solemn and imposing. This formation was even grander than when she went to the MT Tong sect to participate in the sect competition. Shi Shang and Feng Ci walked in front while the demons followed behind. From afar, it looked like they were leading the demons out. "Shang Shu." This shout made the Shi Shang pause for a moment. The demons behind him also stopped for some reason. Shi Shang looked in the direction of the voice. It was the female lead with a halo around her. She was looking at him incredulously. How did she come out of the demon territory? The faces of those who had participated in the siege of Shi Shang changed when they saw Shi Shang. The words that she said, "Everyone, please remember what happened today." There was no anger, only a calm sentence. Yet, it took root in their hearts and sprouted, making them feel uneasy. Now that he saw the main culprit, his uneasiness was magnified. She was back. "Yo, you've delivered yourself to me for my revenge." Shi Shang glanced at the familiar faces and smiled wickedly. "How can I not take your head when it's delivered to my door? You watch, I'll do it." Feng Ci smiled at Shi Shang. "Tell me, who do you want dead?" He had always remembered the grudge of hurting her. Shi Shang's slender and fair fingers brushed past a few people. His voice was carried by the wind to the ears of the people on the other side. "These few." Almost as soon as Shi Shang's fingers brushed past them, the bodies of those who were touched burst into flames. Miserable screams rang out one after another. Only when one of them fell to the ground did the others retreat in fear. On the empty field, 4 people on fire rolled on the ground. They howled in pain and reached out to the people standing there for help. However, no one dared to reach out to help. "Are there any more?" Feng Ci didn't burn those people to death. "Not for now." Shi Shang shook his head. It wasn't that there weren't any more. It was just that she didn't see any of the remaining people. They probably didn't come. "Shang Shu, you actually degenerated into a demon." Yi Qingqiu stared at Shi Shang with deep hatred. Shi Shang curled his lips disapprovingly. "You're the one talking. As long as you're happy." Yi Qingqiu. How was she supposed to respond to that? It would have been fine if she retorted. At least she could have questioned her righteously. However, she had an expression that said, "Whatever you say, whatever you think, I don't care at all. You guys." Shi Shang turned to look at the demons behind him. "What are you standing there for? Are you waiting for them to commit suicide in front of you? Have you sealed your brains for so long that you've gone stupid? Damn it, this is great. I've become the salt substitute of the demon race. If I don't collect some interest, how can I live up to my title?" The demons seemed to have been awakened. They roared and charged at the humans. The two sides were in a mess. Shi Shang would occasionally give orders to the demons, and for some reason, the demons would obey. From the looks of it, it really did look like Shi Shang was leading the demons. When the demon monarch, who was still in the demon realm, received the news, his handsome face twitched a few times. This woman really doesn't hold back when she uses someone else's power. "I, the demon monarch, am still here." In the first confrontation between the demons and the cultivators of the cultivation world, Shi Shang won with his shameless command and forced the demons to retreat. The demons then took over Purple Bamboo Mountain and made it their base of operations. Shi Shang retreated after his success, hiding his achievements and fame. After leaving Purple Bamboo Mountain, Shi Shang took Feng Ci and swept through the sects that had participated in the attack on her, causing the entire cultivation world to be in a state of panic. The saying, "the front yard is lost and the backyard is on fire," was a description of the current situation. The demons were preparing to launch a large-scale attack, but their own territory was being turned upside down by Shi Shang. Shi Shang wanted to see Yu Xiao, so his last stop was naturally the Misty Sect. When she arrived, the Misty Sect had received news from somewhere and was waiting for her in full battle gear. Very good. This is very fitting of my style. Uncle Master. Shi Shang had just struck a domineering pose, but before he could say his lines, he was interrupted by a voice. A woman in a purple Taoist robe rushed down from the mountain and pushed aside the disciples in the front row. Uncle Master, it's really you. Oh, you're finally back. I missed you so much. Lin Yi opened her arms and flew toward Shi Shang. Just as she was about to give Shi Shang a bear hug, Feng Ci snorted and raised his leg to kick her. Black lines appeared on Shi Shang's face as she pulled Feng Ci back a step, causing Lin Yi to miss. She stumbled to a spot slightly behind Shi Shang. Lin Yi turned her head and said with an aggrieved expression, "Uncle Master, you're not hugging me anymore." Shi Shang, if I hug you, you'll have to experience the romance of "you're the wind and I'm the sand," okay? Uncle Master, did you come back to see me? Lin Yi felt aggrieved and immediately changed the topic. Uncle Master, where have you been all these years? Uncle Master heard that you're already a Mahayana realm expert? Uncle Master, you're amazing. Blah blah blah. There are too many questions. I choose to die. According to Lin Yi, Heaven's Edge Peak was also going to participate in the sect tournament, but Yi Qingqiu left them and Yu Xiao behind because the sect couldn't be left unguarded. That was why she missed the chance to meet Shi Shang. Asterisk recommendation votes. 2000, la la la, love me. Chapter 71. Because they were acquaintances, the fight didn't happen and Shi Shang was invited into the Misty Sect by Lin Yi. Even if some people were angry, they didn't dare to show it. Yi Qingqiu wasn't in the Misty Sect and Lin Yi was the direct disciple of the Heaven's Edge Peak's Peak Master and his wife. How could they dare to provoke her? Most importantly, they couldn't beat her. Well, even if they could, Lin Yi would bring the Heaven's Edge Peak's Peak Master to cause trouble in the blink of an eye. This was the epitome of shamelessness. Master left. Shi Shang didn't expect this at all. Yu Xiao had left the Misty Sect and the current Heaven's Edge Peak's Peak Master was Bai Lang. Yes, when the matter about you spread, Master left. At first, he would send back news, but later on, there was no news. Martial Uncle, what happened in the MT Tong sect? Why did those people say you were cultivating an evil technique? Cultivating an evil technique? Shi Shang raised his brows. Tell me, what did they say about me? After she used that method to leave, Long Ju and Yi Qingqiu somehow got into a fight and the two even fought. Later on, Long Ju returned to the immortal world and Yi Qingqiu returned to the Misty Sect. The rumors about Shi Shang also spread after that. They said she caught a female disciple with a water spirit root and was cultivating an evil technique. Later on, she was discovered and was surrounded by various large sects, but she actually escaped. At that time, there were many people looking for her all over the world. Yi Qingqiu and Long Ju fought? The male and female leads actually fought. It seemed like her dream of making the male and female leads hate each other wasn't just a pipe dream. Yes. Lin Yi scratched her chin. I heard from the people sent by MT Tong that it was for Chu Ning. I don't know the details. She didn't even know who Long Ju was. No, martial uncle, your focus is wrong. Chu Ning. When she carried Yi Qingqiu's body back, it took a lot of effort. She only wanted to cause trouble for Yi Qingqiu and didn't want to use Chu Ning for anything. Then what happened? Long Ju and Yi Qingqiu actually fought over Chu Ning? Shi Shang learned a lot from Lin Yi. For example, Yi Qingqiu had many male cultivators by her side over the years and all of them had that kind of relationship with her. Right now, all the male disciples of the Misty Sect were aiming to climb into Yi Qingqiu's bed. As long as the male cultivators were related to Yi Qingqiu, their cultivation would be much higher than ordinary disciples. Another example was by Lang marrying his disciple, Lin Yi. Where's Chu Yi? Chu Yi. Lin Yi frowned as if she was trying to recall something. After a while, she said, Chu Ning's brother, Chu Yi? He has been dead for more than 300 years. Speaking of which, his death was quite tragic. As the female lead's first man, he died just like that? This doesn't make sense. At that time, Yi Qingqiu even purged the Misty sect because of this matter, except for our Heaven's Edge peak. Lin Yi suddenly paused and looked at Shi Shang in shock. She was using this matter to eliminate her dissidents. No wonder Master didn't allow her to go out at that time and didn't allow her to inquire about this matter. Lin Yi had experienced many things over the years, so her thoughts were naturally different from before and she could see things more clearly. Shi Shang patted Lin Yi's shoulder, but as soon as his hand landed, he felt a cold gaze from the side. Shi Shang's hand paused and he withdrew it without a trace. Scared me to death. Yu Xiao wasn't around, so Shi Shang met with Bai Lang. From Bai Lang, he learned that Yu Xiao might have already gone to the immortal realm, so Shi Shang didn't stay any longer. He'd already gotten his revenge and wouldn't be able to ascend for a while, so Shi Shang could only sit on pudding and watch the demons and human cultivators fight. This kind of great battle was rare, but it would be even better if it developed into a great battle between immortals and demons. Shi Shang secretly pondered if there was a way to make the immortal and demon armies fight. Then, she could take the opportunity to kill the immortal emperor and push Feng Ci to the throne. With Feng Ci's martial strength, he should have no problem fighting the entire immortal realm. Are you kidding me? Humph, do you think I'm joking? Feng Ci had swaggered around the immortal realm for so many years, but the immortals of the immortal realm couldn't do anything to him. So, it could be inferred that his martial strength was enough to fight the entire immortal realm. What's so good about them? Feng Ci sat across from Shi Shang and cupped her face with both hands, forcing her to look at him. Am I not good looking? You want to look at them. Should he kill them all? Then she would only look at him. Shi Shang, I'm already used to it, really used to it. Am I not good looking? Feng Ci asked stubbornly. There was a faint flame dancing on his body. Shi Shang suddenly felt a sense of familiarity with Feng Ci and wanted to get closer to him. And that was exactly what she did. She pounced on Feng Ci. Her actions were too sudden, causing Feng Ci to lean back. If not for the fact that pudding was big enough, the two of them would have fallen. Feng Ci hurriedly supported her waist and let her lie on top of him. Shi Shang came back to her senses after pouncing on Feng Ci. Her face was pressed against Feng Ci's chest, and she could hear his slightly disordered heartbeat. What the hell? What happened to me just now? Why did I suddenly pounce on Feng Ci? Shi Shang wanted to slap herself. She quickly pushed against Feng Ci's chest and sat down beside him. Feng Ci sat up in confusion. Xiao Shu, you don't like me hugging you? But I like hugging you a lot. Shi Shang. Don't flirt with me. I need some time to calm down. Shi Shang turned around and didn't look at Feng Ci anymore. Feng Ci blinked innocently. When he saw Shi Shang looking down again, a wave of anger surged from his heart. A series of fireballs covered the sky and smashed onto the ground. The humans and demons who were fighting on the ground received damage that did not distinguish between friend and foe. The damage value multiplied several times. Those who were standing further away and did not receive any damage looked up at the sky. They could only see a mass of dark clouds and nothing else. Everyone was puzzled. Where did this fireball come from? Why couldn't they differentiate between friend and foe? What are you doing? Shi Shang turned around. They're not good looking. Feng Ci snorted. They're ugly and weak. They can't protect Xiao Shu. I'm the only one who can. I know you're the best looking. Can I stop looking? Shi Shang held his forehead speechlessly. He inched toward Feng Ci helplessly. Let nature take its course. Feng Ci nodded in satisfaction. He retracted the fireballs he was about to throw. Shi Shang narrowed his eyes and watched his actions. Whenever Feng Ci used those flames, she would have a strong desire to get closer to him. Just a little closer. Shi Shang only felt a little helpless about this feeling of being controlled. He didn't dislike it. If this was in the past, her first reaction would have been to kill Feng Ci to prevent future troubles. She didn't like having someone else control her. But now, she actually wanted to let nature take its course. Shi Shang chuckled. He took the initiative to move closer to Feng Ci and found a comfortable position. With her back facing Feng Ci, he couldn't see her line of sight. Naturally, he wouldn't know where she was looking. Asterisk recommendation votes 2000 second update. Do you think I'm getting cuter and cuter? Chapter 72. Yi Qingqiu's tribulation was definitely a spectacular sight. The battle in the distance had even called for an intermission. Many people flew towards the lightning tribulation, wanting to see who was undergoing tribulation. However, when they arrived, they only saw two figures, one black and one white, standing on top of a tree. The person undergoing tribulation was nowhere to be seen. However, the purple lightning bolts that were as thick as an arm continued to strike down, proving that the person undergoing tribulation was here. The demons were slower to arrive, but the one who arrived was the demon monarch. He immediately saw the two eye-catching figures. His eyes flashed and he flew to the top of a tree next to Shi Shang. Shi Shang glanced at him and then looked away. Feng Ci, on the other hand, was itching to set fire to Jun Wuqi. Shi Shang didn't say anything, so Feng Ci could only think about it in his heart. Or perhaps he would wait until Shi Shang wasn't looking to make a move. Miss Shang, are you interested in joining my demon world? Shi Shang turned his gaze back to Jun Wuqi and said thoughtfully, what does the demon monarch see in me? Her condition with the demon monarch was very simple. If he met Yi Qingqiu in the future, he couldn't help her. Logically speaking, they had already settled the debt. Even if Jun Wuqi broke the contract, it wouldn't affect Shi Shang much. He would just have one more enemy. Why did Jun Wuqi suddenly invite her to join the demon world? Did he get hit in the head? Miss Shang is very powerful. Jun Wuqi's praise wasn't fake at all. He had specially investigated her background. She was a disciple of the Misty Sect's Heaven's Edge Peak 400 years ago. Later, she left the Misty Sect and stayed in the cultivation world for 10 years. She was very famous and everyone wanted to kill her. Later, she disappeared for unknown reasons and finally appeared in the demon world. Most importantly, her cultivation was at least at the Mahayana realm. What reason did he have to not invite such a person to join the demon world? I also know that I'm very powerful. So, you're not humble at all. There's no way we can talk. Jun Wuqi coughed to cover up his embarrassment. If Miss Shang joins the demon world, I promise you that you'll be second only to one person. How about that? Third to one person? Skay, this demon monarch is really going all out. What does he see in me? Beauty? Ability? It must be because of her beauty. The second female lead's appearance was top-notch. It was to complement the phrase, femme fatale. Therefore, Shang Shu's appearance was definitely not bad. He had not expected the demon lord to be such a demon lord. After Shi Shang finished his imagination, he adjusted his facial expression and said seriously, Devil King, thank you for your compliment, but I'm not interested in being under one person. She paused for a moment before breaking into a grin. My goal is the Sea of Stars. I mean the immortal realm. When Jun Wuqi heard the first half of the sentence, he thought that she was the kind of person who didn't like to be restrained. Who knew that she would throw out such a sentence in the next second? Jun Wuqi's body tilted and he almost fell from the tree crown. What a boastful woman. The moment he opened his mouth, he mentioned the location of the celestial world. He was even more arrogant than him. However, he liked it. Presumably, we will have the opportunity to cooperate in the future. Jun Wuqi smiled meaningfully. Shi Shang blinked. Cooperating with Jun Wuqi? This man is too shrewd. I won't stay with this kind of person who conspires all day long. Who knows when I'll be eaten by him, and he won't even spit out my bones. Shi Shang responded vaguely. Jun Wuqi pretended not to see through her perfunctory response. He told her that she could look for him if she needed anything, then returned to the demon race's territory. You want the immortal realm? Once Jun Wuqi left, Feng Ci asked, Do you like the position of the immortal emperor? Like my ass. I'm doing it for you, If Xiao Shu likes it, I'll give it to you, Feng Ci said seriously. Even if you want to be the master of the 5 realms, I'll bring it to you. You just need to stand by my side and look at me. Shi Shang. It's all a trick, all a trick, all a trick. Calm down, isn't it just being teased? What kind of situation have I not seen before? We've already kissed, it's just teasing, calm down. Calm down my ass. If he continues teasing me like this, I won't be able to control myself, okay? No. It's not the 6 realms? Another realm was eaten? Feng Ci blinked in confusion. Humans, immortals, demons, monsters, ghosts. There are only 5 realms. He didn't remember wrongly. Where was there another realm? What about the heavenly realm? Where did the heavenly realm go? Immortals, gods and immortals are 2 different species. Xiao Shu. You don't know? Feng Ci's expression was a bit strange. The god race fell during the ancient times. There's no heavenly realm anymore. Is this the background setting? Shi Shang tried hard to recall, but realized that the plot didn't mention the heavenly realm at all. The female lead's journey ended at the immortal realm. Damn, the god race is gone? The demon race is still around? This background setting is poisonous. The god race and the demon race are the official couple. While Shi Shang and Feng Ci were discussing historical issues, Yi Qingqiu had already finished her tribulation. Golden light pierced through the dark clouds and shone on her body, followed by the sound of ethereal celestial music. Yi Qingqiu appeared in the sky along with the celestial music. She was in a sorry state, but it didn't affect her temperament at all. She was like a cold and noble celestial maiden from the immortal realm, looking down on the world with her chin held high. Sect Master, it's Sect Master. Sect Master succeeded in her tribulation. The disciples of the Misty Sect were the most excited. Ah, Sect Master ascended. Sect Master is so powerful. Long live Sect Master. Although the others had guessed that it was Yi Qingqiu, they still panicked when they saw it with their own eyes. Not only did a woman lead the fallen Misty Sect to stand above their heads, she even ascended. Their ancestors had been waiting for the stars and the moon to pass their tribulation, but they couldn't. Yet she ascended not long after entering the Great Ascension realm. How infuriating! Yi Qingqiu stood in mid-air, her gaze sweeping over the people below before finally landing on Shi Shang. A hint of killing intent flashed in her eyes. She was now an immortal, so she didn't believe that she couldn't kill Xiang Shu. So, the heavenly realm can't beat the demon realm? That's too weak. She's about to make her move, Feng Ci suddenly interrupted Shi Shang. Shi Shang raised his head to look at Yi Qingqiu. Just as he raised his head, Yi Qingqiu suddenly moved. Her figure suddenly disappeared in the air, and when she reappeared, she was half a meter away from Shi Shang. 2 arcs of light shot out from Yi Qingqiu's direction, carrying an oppressive aura. Feng Ci narrowed his eyes and blocked Shi Shang with a wall of fire. The arcs of light hit the wall of fire and bounced back in Yi Qingqiu's direction. Yi Qingqiu pushed off the ground with the tip of her foot and rose into the air, dodging the 2 arcs of light. Her body flashed and she landed behind Shi Shang. The same arcs of light shot out again, but this time they were mixed with some black chi boom. The sound of thunder suddenly rang out as dozens of lightning bolts fell from the sky. Half of them were aimed at Yi Qingqiu. Only 2 of them landed on Feng Ci's wall of fire. Although the wall of fire wasn't split open, the flames covering it seemed to have been suppressed, causing the flames to wither. Shi Shang looked at the lightning bolts that struck Yi Qingqiu in confusion. Is this retribution? Has the intelligence of the heavenly Tao come online? Asterisk about putting it up for sale. Don't ask me why I put it up for sale. It's because authors are humans too. They need to eat tea. This is the same as working for a salary. Would you work for your boss for free? I know there are a lot of people out there who are reading books and might not have money. I can understand you, but can you please understand the author? Can you please not scold her? You'll be very sad. This book is a single subscription. It's the kind that requires a chapter-by-chapter subscription. All subscriptions have the same price. 1,000 words is 5 cents. Mine is 2,000 per chapter, which is 10 book coins. $1 is equivalent to 100 book coins. In other words, for $1, you can subscribe for 10 chapters. It's very cheap, isn't it? It's the money to eat a popsicle. It's the money for 2 packets of 5-cent spicy popsicles. The subscription price in the entire bookstore is the same. The price is the same. The price is the same. The price is the same. Important things have to be said 3 times. If you notice that the book coins used in other books are different, it's because the number of words is different. Some authors use 1,000 words per chapter and it's gone after a few pages. You can clearly see this when you flip the pages. The author's word count doesn't count. Some cherub accounts might have a high V account and have a discount, so it's cheaper. High V accounts that have been recharged will have a VIP level. It's the same as QQ VIP members. Thank you for your support. Thank you. Chapter 73. Host, do you wish to purchase the item, lightning rod? What the hell? Why did it want her to buy a lightning rod for no reason? Wasn't Yi Qingqiu the one who got struck? Do you wish to purchase the item, lightning rod? The system dutifully repeated its question. By now, the lightning had already disappeared. Shi Shang looked up at the clear sky. Where did that lightning come from? Did Yi Qingqiu not finish buffering her tribulation? Why did she want to buy a lightning rod? To plug it in? What happened just now? Didn't she finish her tribulation? Why is there still lightning? I don't know. I've never heard of something like this before. Did you notice that the lightning was thicker than before? Also, I feel like it's even more powerful. I feel uncomfortable standing so far away. Quite a few people ahead are bleeding from the shock. What? It's that powerful? What kind of lightning is that? Could it be that sect Master Yi wants to become a god? What kind of joke is this? The heavenly realm is long gone. How can she become a god? That person's words caused quite a few people to laugh. The person who spoke was just making a casual remark. Now that he was ridiculed like this, he immediately became angry and started arguing with those people. It looked like the argument was about to turn into a fight. At this moment, the light suddenly dimmed and the clear sky was covered by thick dark clouds. In the blink of an eye, those dark clouds seemed to have appeared out of thin air. Shi Shang never thought that the lightning would be directed at him. The moment the dark clouds appeared, Feng Ci was sent flying by an invisible force. The moment Feng Ci was sent flying, a dozen lightning bolts fell from the sky without any warning. These lightning bolts were 1 size larger than the ones Yi Qingqiu faced during her tribulation. Yi Qingqiu was struck by lightning bolts 1 at a time while she was struck by a dozen at once. Even if there was a difference in treatment, this shouldn't be the case. These lightning bolts couldn't be avoided at all. They would only disappear if they hit. The dozen lightning bolts that appeared before were clearly used to clear the area. I finally know why the system asked me if I wanted a lightning rod. But why is the system not responding? I want to buy a lightning rod. From the outside, the area where the Shi Shang was located was shrouded in purple light, and no one could see the people inside. The sound wasn't as loud as Yi Qingqiu's tribulation, but everyone present could feel that the power was definitely much stronger than Yi Qingqiu's tribulation. Everyone retreated a distance. Jun Wuqi and the people of the demon race also retreated some distance. Demon Lord, there's something wrong with this lightning tribulation. Shang Shu and Yi Qingqiu are both at the Grand Ascension stage, and Yi Qingqiu's tribulation is already much more powerful than normal people. Logically speaking, Shang Shu's tribulation shouldn't be as powerful as Yi Qingqiu's. But now, it's obvious that the power hasn't decreased at all. Instead, it's doubled. Could it be that she's a lucky person? Everyone knew that people with great luck were favored by the heavenly Tao. However, because they were favored by the heavenly Tao, it was more difficult for them to cross their tribulations compared to ordinary people. As the saying goes, if you gain something, you have to pay a price. The heavenly Tao would not give you great luck for nothing. Jun Wuqi didn't know how to respond. She's the one who secretly wants to snatch that spot in the celestial world. How could she have great luck? It's more like bad luck. There were many people with similar thoughts as the people of the demon realm. But when they thought of what Shi Shang had done, their expressions became very interesting. Was the heavens blind? How could someone like her be blessed with great luck? When Yi Qingqiu returned to the Misty Sect, she heard the people talking about Shi Shang. Her already gloomy face became even darker. She had just finished her tribulation, and that woman had followed suit. Moreover, her tribulation was even stronger than hers. Some of the disciples saw Yi Qingqiu's expression and didn't dare to make a sound. They lowered their heads and retreated. Even the male cultivators who often followed her didn't dare to make a sound. Kiki, all the limelight has been stolen. Shut up! Yi Qingqiu roared angrily in her mind. Kiki, little girl, don't be ungrateful. If I didn't help you just now, do you think you could have successfully passed the tribulation? The voice said sarcastically. Yi Qingqiu almost died during the tribulation because she didn't cultivate the righteous Tao. How could the heavenly Tao acknowledge her? If it wasn't for you, how could I have become like this? Yi Qingqiu was filled with anger. Little girl, you don't know what's good for you. When you fell off the cliff, if you didn't form a contract with me, do you think you would still be alive? I extended your life, so you have to help me. You're the one who chose your own path. Did I force you? Yi Qingqiu was speechless. She clenched her fists and stared coldly at the sky filled with lightning. This was all Shang Shu's fault. She killed Master. Otherwise, how could she have gone through all that? Little girl, if she succeeds in passing the tribulation, it will be even harder for you to deal with her. What can you do? She had a feeling that if Shang Shu didn't die, even if she went to the celestial world, it wouldn't be easy. Kiki, I don't even have a physical body now. What can I do? If he had a physical body, he might have a way. But without a physical body, there was nothing he could do. Yi Qingqiu gritted her teeth. Could it be that she could only watch as Shang Shu succeeded in passing the tribulation? No. There were also failures in passing the tribulation. This lightning tribulation was so powerful. Maybe she wouldn't be able to survive it? Yi Qingqiu comforted herself in her heart as she stared at the sky. The disciples of the Misty Sect felt the pressure around them getting lower and lower. They all retreated. Among the people present, the only one who was worried about Shi Shang was Feng Ci. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't get close to the lightning tribulation. He could only stare nervously at the lightning zone where no one could be seen. Lightning continued to fall without stopping, proving that the person inside was still alive. The lightning tribulation lasted for an entire day. No one had ever seen such a scene before. When the lightning tribulation stopped, Shi Shang, who had been turned into charcoal, fell from the sky. Feng Ci immediately rushed over to catch Shi Shang. Little Shu. Feng Ci's voice was trembling. If he had known that the tribulation was so difficult, he wouldn't have let her go through it. He would have been willing to stay with her in the cultivation world. Shi Shang's entire body was charred black. Her clothes were tattered, and her hair was charred black with each strand sticking up. Her appearance was terrible. Ci. Shi Shang opened his eyes weakly. Help me change my clothes. She didn't even want to see her current appearance. As a villain, she couldn't look so pathetic. Her head could be broken and her blood could flow, but she couldn't lose her image. Feng Xi's heart finally relaxed. She was still worried about her image. That meant she was fine. Feng Xi hurriedly helped Shi Shang change into a new set of clothes before using a spell to clean her hair. After doing all this, the ethereal voice of a celestial being came from the sky. Dog Abuse Festival. Ah, my heart hurts so much. Quickly use the ticket to comfort me, woo woo woo. Chapter 74. The moment the celestial music rang out, Shi Shang felt his primordial blood come back to life. F***ck, this is taking half of my life. That little bitch system, it didn't even warn me. It kept telling me to buy some lightning rod. It must have predicted that I wouldn't buy it, right? It must have done it on purpose. Host, you're the one who didn't listen to me. How was it its fault again? Would it come out if nothing happened? This host didn't even know what was right and wrong. It wanted to change hosts. Fine, I won't talk about this with you. Tell me, are you trying to kill me with this tribulation? Even Yi Qingqiu's tribulation wasn't as serious as hers, so why was it like a clockwork that couldn't be stopped? Don't talk about how the stronger the tribulation, the more promising your future was. She didn't know how much she was worth. Unless the heavenly Tao wanted to destroy this world, it definitely wouldn't open a back door for her. Host isn't from this world, so the heavenly Tao doesn't accept you. The heavenly Tao is expelling you. I can only warn you before the tribulation starts. Once it starts, I won't be able to contact you. This is the power of the heavenly Tao. Every world had its own set of rules. If they were broken at will, then the world could easily collapse. Shi Shang. F***ck your grandpa. Host. The system hesitated. Can you tell me how you survived the tribulation? At the time, it thought the host would fail the mission and was ready to welcome the host back. Who knew that the host would survive? Do you want to know? Yes, I won't tell you. Oh, it knew it. When it got back, it was going to give the host a full body checkup. It didn't believe that it couldn't find a bug in the host's body. Not only was the system curious about how Shi Shang survived, even Feng Xi was curious. At first, he could feel that she wasn't feeling well, but that feeling quickly disappeared. But since Shi Shang didn't say anything, Feng Xi didn't ask. It was enough that she was by his side. After successfully passing the tribulation, one could only stay in the cultivation world for 1 day. After that, the light of guidance would appear. If one missed the light of guidance, then there would be no way to go to the immortal world. Of course, after going to the immortal plane, he could still come down. It was like going to the immortal plane at a specific time and having his identity recorded by the immortal plane. Only then would he be able to freely enter and exit the immortal plane. By the time Shi Shang finished his tribulation, Yi Qingqiu had already left. So, his plan to kill Yi Qingqiu had failed again. When the female lead fought the villains, she felt that the villains were unkillable cockroaches. But when they fought the female lead, it was the same logic. They were both unkillable cockroaches. Why didn't you strike her to death? The heavens are really blind. Actually, it's not a bad thing. At least she's gone to wreak havoc in the immortal world and not us. There are so many people in the immortal world, why should we be afraid of her, who just ascended? Now that you mention it, it does make sense. But what if she doesn't stay in the immortal realm? Jinx. While the people below were discussing fervently, the demons took the opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Soon, the discussion turned into curses and fighting. Shi Shang and Feng Xi found a place to wait for the light of guidance. What's so fun in the immortal world? Shi Shang asked casually. Nothing fun. Feng Xi shook his head, then stared at Shi Shang with sparkling eyes. Wherever you are, it's fun for me. Shi Shang. Could he request to block Feng Xi's flirting skills? What enemies do you have in the immortal world? She should gather information on her enemies first. Getting down to business was more important. Feng Xi tilted his head and blinked innocently. Too many. I can't remember. Too many. Can't remember. Can't. His voice lingered in Shi Shang's ears like a lingering echo. Do you have any friends in the immortal world? Shi Shang asked in a more tactful manner. Or rather, they don't have any enmity towards you. Feng Xi's face was still adorably blank. No. Very good. That means the entire immortal world is my enemy. I'm going to be the enemy of the entire immortal world. Thinking about it, I'm quite excited. The war between humans and demons was in full swing. Shi Shang and Feng Xi directly ascended when the light of guidance appeared. Except for the Devil King, who was in the mood to watch her ascend, everyone else was busy fighting each other. At most, they would glance at her from the corner of their eyes. Miss Shang, the door to the devil world will always be open for you. What responded to Jun Wuqi was an overwhelming flame. Jun Wuqi dodged it in a slightly embarrassing manner, but the demons around him were not so lucky. Not even ashes were left of them. A voice faintly fell from the sky. Claire, why are you setting fire again? He wants to rob you. Then why don't you burn him to death? He dodged too quickly. I'll go back and kill him. Jun Wuqi's body trembled. He had only said a few words. Did she have to kill him? He looked up at the sky. The two people were shrouded in the light of guidance, and their figures were hazy. They ascended in a straight line and did not really come back to kill him. Jun Wuqi secretly heaved a sigh of relief. To think that he, the Devil King... Forget it, let's just fight. Ascension platform. At this time, many people from the immortal world had gathered. The ascension of people from the lower realm was a big event for the immortal world. After all, what the immortal world lacked the most was immortals. This time, there were 2 lightning tribulations, which meant that 2 people had ascended. This was the first time in the history of the immortal world that such a thing had happened. Immortal Lord Zihua, did you divine who it is? Many people surrounded a rather handsome man. The man said awkwardly, I still can only divine one. The other one, even Immortal Lord Zihua can't divine. Immortal Lord Zihua was famous in the immortal world for his ability to divine. He could even divine a few things about the immortal emperor. How could he not divine a person who had just ascended? This is strange. I want to see who it is. It's coming. There's movement in the welcoming array. It was unknown who shouted, but a group of people rushed towards a round platform in the distance and surrounded it. They were so fast that they were afraid that they wouldn't be able to watch the rare species ascending up close. On the ascension platform, there was a light flowing along the lines carved on the platform, lighting up the entire platform. An array appeared on the ascension platform, and the light of welcoming shot from a distance. The light dispersed, and 2 figures appeared in everyone's sight. The noisy scene fell into a strange silence. A group of people widened their eyes and looked at the people standing on the ascension platform in disbelief. They must have opened it the wrong way. They were hallucinating and saw Feng Xi. Start over. Close your eyes. Open your eyes. Oh my God, Feng Xi. Run. Asterisk in the small theater. Shi Shang said, Claire, you cleared the place as soon as you appeared. That's so awesome. I feel like there's nothing for me to do. Feng Xi said, I only cleared the place for you. Shi Shang said, you can easily sleep with me if you keep flirting with me like this. Feng Xi said, I only let you sleep with me. I'm ready. Do you want to take off your clothes or pants first? Shi Shang, take the dog food, you're welcome. Come and report the number below. Remember to vote. Angry. I'm not happy about being fed all kinds of dog food. Comfort me with votes. Hum. Chapter 75. The ascension platform, which had been packed to the brim, was now completely empty. Not even a shadow could be seen. There were no clouds and mist here, nor were there any grand buildings. It was just an empty space paved with jade. The ascension platform was in the middle of the empty space. In the distance, there was a mountain range with buildings faintly visible. Feng Ci nonchalantly led Shi Shang down the ascension platform. What were those people doing just now? Shi Shang asked in confusion. I don't know. Feng Ci shook his head in confusion. Shi Shang. Are you even from the celestial world? The ascension platform that had quieted down suddenly moved. Shi Shang frowned and looked over. Someone else is ascending? Is it a good day to ascend? However, the person who appeared on the ascension platform was a very familiar figure. Yi Qingqiu. Didn't she ascend earlier than me? How did she fall behind me? Female lead, you're amazing. You can even cause trouble after ascending. Yi Qingqiu also saw Shi Shang. Her expression instantly turned ugly. Her eyes darkened as she stared at Shi Shang with vigilance and hatred. At that moment, the people who had disappeared earlier appeared from all directions and swarmed towards Yi Qingqiu. They didn't care if she was willing or not. They grabbed her and ran, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Shi Shang. Are these people here to pick up Yi Qingqiu? The female lead sure is treated well. Even without the male lead, there are still so many people here to pick her up. Shi Shang didn't know that most of these people were here to watch her. However, they didn't dare to watch her because she was standing with Feng Ci. Where do you want to live? Feng Ci asked seriously. I can choose. Is the celestial world so humane? Feng Ci smiled and said domineeringly, I'll snatch whichever place you want to live. Shi Shang. I want to live in the Celestial Emperor's celestial palace. Where do you want to live? Shi Shang was afraid that if he said it, Feng Ci would really take her to snatch the Celestial Emperor's celestial palace. Then, she would become famous in the celestial world the moment she ascended. Feng Ci's eyes flashed. He asked cautiously, Xiao Shu, you want to live where I live? Can't I? This question didn't sound like Feng Ci at all. Usually, he wanted nothing more than to stick her entire body to Feng Ci, so why now? Shi Shang looked at Feng Ci suspiciously. As a villain, he shouldn't be living in such a bad place, right? Feng Ci pursed his lips. There was a struggle in his eyes, but in the end, he slowly nodded. It wasn't until they arrived at the Shi Shang's place that they realized how bad their living conditions were. There was simply no way to live there. F***ck, the weeds are already as tall as a person. Where are the houses? Not to mention being covered by weeds. Is it too late for me to rob the immortal emperor's immortal palace now? Xiao Shu. Feng Ci looked at the Shi Shang carefully. Tomorrow, I'll go and get some people to build you a palace. The biggest and most beautiful one. Shi Shang waved his hand weakly. You used to live here alone? The territory was very big, but it didn't look like a place for ordinary people to stay. The environment outside was also extremely bad. Feng Ci lowered his eyelids and looked at her before replying softly, Shi Shang tilted his head slightly and saw Feng Ci's perfect side profile. Feng Ci's lips were slightly pursed and his eyes were downcast. He looked slightly lonely. Shi Shang stepped on the weeds and walked in front of Feng Ci. He held Feng Ci's hand and said softly, We'll live here from now on. The next day, Shi Shang saw a group of anxious and panicked people working on the palace that Feng Ci said he would catch some people to build it. Immortals built palaces, so they were naturally different from mortals. They basically used spells to build a palace, so it only took them a few hours to build it. She didn't know where Feng Ci had gone to rob, but the decorations in the entire palace looked extremely extravagant. The immortals who were robbed. The palace wasn't big. There was a main hall at the front, 2 side halls at the side, and a bedroom at the back. Shi Shang and Feng Ci were used to sleeping together, so they didn't feel that there was anything wrong with the bedroom. However, she felt that there was something wrong with the bed. What is this? Shi Shang reached out to touch it, then immediately retracted his hand. F***ck, it's so cold. 1,000-year black ice. Feng Ci blinked. Little Shu has an ice spirit root. Sleeping on this will help you cultivate. Is that so? But why do I feel that something is wrong? At night, Shi Sheng finally realized what was wrong. She couldn't resist the coldness of the bed at all, but Feng Ci was lying beside her like a furnace. She subconsciously wanted to lean into his arms. Shi Sheng grabbed Feng Ci's collar and shivered from the cold. You did it on purpose, didn't you? The fire in her body didn't have any temperature, but Feng Ci's fire did. His body was exceptionally warm, making her want to get close to him and touch him. Feng Ci blinked innocently. I didn't. You didn't, my ass. Shi Sheng gritted his teeth and glared at him for a long time. In the end, he had no choice but to shrink back into his arms. Feng Ci hugged Shi Sheng in satisfaction and kissed her forehead. In the end, he felt a little unsatisfied and kissed the corner of her lips. Shi Sheng was caught off guard by the kiss. She was still a little cold, but after Feng Ci kissed her, it suddenly disappeared. Shi Sheng was stunned for a moment and allowed Feng Ci to go deeper. She only regained her senses when she felt a hand on her body. Feng Ci was on top of her. She stared blankly at Feng Ci's enlarged handsome face. The light wasn't very bright, but it was enough for her to see Feng Ci's expression clearly. His eyes were slightly closed, and his long eyelashes were trembling slightly. He looked as sincere as a believer. What did he think of her as in his heart? Shi Sheng suddenly felt a little lost. Her gaze became more and more empty. She just lay there and let Feng Ci do whatever he wanted. Little Shu. Feng Ci looked up and met Shi Sheng's unfocused eyes. He was a little helpless. Did I make you angry? She didn't respond to him at all. Shi Sheng's eyes slowly focused and finally landed on Feng Ci's face. Her voice was a little hoarse. Feng Ci, in your heart, who am I to you? You're the most important person to me. Feng Ci didn't hesitate at all. I hope to be with you forever. You're the most important person to me. The most important person. Shi Sheng's gaze became empty again. Feng Ci's figure was clearly reflected in her eyes, but it also seemed like she was looking at something else through him. The coldness in her eyes made Feng Ci's heart tremble. Little Shu, don't be like this. Feng Ci flipped off Shi Sheng and hugged her tightly. If you don't like it, I won't be like this. Little Shu. Feng Ci hadn't finished speaking when Shi Sheng suddenly flipped over and pressed herself on top of him. Under his panicked and doubtful gaze, she took the initiative to kiss him. Her kiss was filled with a torrential storm of invading desire. Feng Ci's body froze. A hint of bloodlust flashed past his dark red eyes, but it was immediately covered by infinite gentleness. His breathing became slightly heavier. The moonlight outside the palace was perfect. The shadows of the trees danced, and it was silent. The palace was filled with endless spring scenery. The shadows of people overlapped, and the room was filled with a hidden fragrance. Crack down on prostitution. Crack down on prostitution. Please fill in the blanks with your own imagination. If your imagination isn't enough, then there's nothing I can do. Come and vote for me. Cherub, don't be afraid. Use your votes to love me. Chapter 76. Shi Sheng looked at the two people in front of him with a conflicted expression. Are you going to do it or not? Why are you talking so much nonsense? It's not easy for me to see this kind of live version of a blockbuster. Don't waste time, hurry up and do it. The blockbuster finally started. Long Ju's angry roar at the beginning turned into a primitive groan in the end. Yi Qingqiu was obviously very skilled in doing these difficult actions one after another. Watching this, Shi Sheng was speechless. This was even better than some Japanese blockbuster. Unfortunately, the man's actions were too little. When the two of them were exhausted, Yi Qingqiu fed Long Ju something and then took him away, ignoring Long Ju's shameful roar. Now there's a good show to watch. Tisk tisk a. Shi Sheng went back to look for Feng Ci. Feng Ci was standing on the steps of the palace. When he saw Shi Sheng, he quickly took a few steps forward before stopping abruptly. He looked at the figure walking towards him from afar, his heart feeling uneasy. "Claire, I'm tired." Shi Shang walked over to Feng Ci and leaned into his embrace softly. She was indeed a bit tired after all the commotion last night and walking so far today. Feng Ci didn't know where to put his hands and feet. He carefully glanced at Shi Shang. Seeing that her expression was normal, he picked her up and walked into the palace. "Claire, where does Yi Qingqiu live?" Shi Shang's face was pressed against his neck. As she spoke, her hot breath blew against his neck, tickling him until he felt like he was floating. He calmed himself down and took a deep breath. New immortals have to meet the immortal emperor, and then the immortal emperor will give them a palace. She probably hasn't met the immortal emperor yet, so she might be arranged to stay with Lu Zhang. Lu Zhang? Yes. Feng Ci tilted his head and thought for a moment. The general manager of the immortal world. Pfft, what kind of joke was that? Feng Ci put Shi Shang on the bed and pressed his body against hers. He looked down at her with burning eyes. "Shu, you can't leave me." "Okay." Shi Shang smiled and said, "Come down. You're making me uncomfortable." Feng Ci stared at her seriously, as if trying to discern if she was telling the truth. In the end, he kissed the corner of her lips and rolled to the side. "Go to sleep. When you wake up, I'll take you to the celestial realm for a walk." Shi Shang was stunned for a moment, then reached out to hug his waist and changed to a more comfortable position to sleep. Recently, there were two major events in the immortal realm. The first was that Feng Ci, who had disappeared for nearly 1,000 years, had returned. Moreover, he had brought back an ascended woman from the lower realm. That woman had an unfathomable fate. On the second day after Feng Ci's return, he robbed the various great immortal palaces and even captured quite a few immortal monarchs to help him build palaces. After the palaces were built, he threw them out. After that, he never appeared in the immortal world again. It was said that Feng Ci doted on that woman a lot. It was said that Feng Ci would listen to whatever that woman said. Most importantly, the woman was able to come into close contact with Feng Ci and was not afraid of the flames on his body. The second thing was that the devil race had already conquered more than half of the cultivation world. If the immortal world did not send troops, the cultivation world would be occupied by the devil race. Therefore, the people of the immortal world were busy dealing with the devil race. In the immortal emperor's immortal palace, a group of people were arguing fiercely. The dragon race's young master is the best candidate. I recommend the dragon race's young master. The dragon race's young master is still too young. Moreover, he has never commanded an immortal soldier or general before. I think we should send immortal monarch Zhen Feng. He has commanded immortal soldiers for tens of thousands of years. He is familiar with them and can deploy them better during battle. I agree too. The dragon race and the immortal emperor's bloodline are of the same origin. It is perfectly justifiable for the dragon race's young master to go to war. One after another, no one was willing to back down. The dignified man on the main seat looked at them arguing and waved his hand to call Lu Zhang over. "Who do you think is suitable?" Replying to the immortal emperor, "Why don't we let them fight? Whoever wins will go." Lu Zhang did not dare to casually say anything. He would offend anyone. The immortal emperor pondered for a while and could not think of a better idea. He muttered, "That's a good idea. We'll do as you say." Thus, the matter of the two fighting was decided. But before it even started, there was suddenly news of Long Ju and immortal monarch Zhen Feng fighting. The cause was actually that newly advanced young immortal, Yi Qingqiu. When everyone arrived, the first thing they saw was not Long Ju and Zhen Feng fighting fiercely. Instead, they saw Feng Ci standing outside the battlefield. Why is Feng Ci here? Everyone looked at each other. Only ghosts would know why Feng Ci was here. Ever since he returned to the immortal realm, other than showing his face on the second day, no one had seen him again. Who knew that they would see him here? If they knew he was here, they would not have come even if they were beaten to death. The one standing beside him is that newly advanced young immortal, Shang Shu? The surname Shang is very rare. I don't think there is such a surname in the cultivation world. Isn't the one on the northern mountain surnamed Shang? Immortal monarch Jade Flute? He hasn't left the northern mountain for tens of thousands of years. Before that person could finish speaking, his vision darkened. He raised his head and saw the black-robed woman who was standing beside Feng Ci a moment ago standing in front of him. His pupils shrank. You. Who did you just say? I. The person turned around to look for his teammates. But when he looked back, there was no one behind him. What happened to being together? Shu, what's wrong? Feng Ci stood in front of Shi Shang, blocking her view. I think I just heard him say Master's name. Shi Shang pointed at the person behind him and said uncertainly. Bai Lang said that her cheap master had come to the immortal realm. She wanted to make sure if Jade Xiao was still alive. If he was dead, her mission would have been in vain. You heard wrong. Feng Ci touched Shi Shang's head. Shi Shang looked at Feng Ci suspiciously. Ci, you don't dare to look at me when you're lying. Do you know that? Feng Ci froze and didn't dare to look at Shi Shang. He turned his head and glared fiercely at the passerby. The passerby fell to his knees. I didn't say anything. Ci, what are you hiding from me? Feng Ci frowned in distress and hesitated for a while. Then he said hesitantly, he didn't want me to tell you, but I don't want to lie to you. Then tell me. He's dead. He was dead. Shi Shang looked at Feng Ci in disbelief. How could he be dead? How could Jade Xiao die without the plot? His time was up. That time at Heaven's End Peak, he came to me and said that I was your only hope. He gave you to me and asked me not to tell you that his time was coming. Shi Shang. So this was why Jade Xiao accepted Feng Ci so easily at that time? Even without the plot, Jade Xiao would still die? Was this the so-called fate? It made sense. Jade Xiao wasn't weak, but why did he die so easily in the plot? Feng Ci watched as Shi Shang's expression changed from shock to sorrow and finally calmed down. He moved his lips but didn't say anything. To be honest, I don't understand why you pity Long Ju. Look carefully at the introduction of the plot. He killed the original host. 1,500 recommendation votes, it doesn't seem to be that many yet, but it should be soon. Ha ha ha. Come and touch. Chapter 77. Shi Shang felt a little stifled. Yu Xiao was dead, so was her mission considered a success or a failure? Since Yu Xiao's death was destined, there was no way she could change it. Shi Shang communicated with the system for a while. The system said that this matter had nothing to do with her. She had already changed Yu Xiao's original ending, so the mission was considered complete. Shi Shang was silent for a while. No one knew what he was thinking. When she came back to her senses, Long Ju and Zhen Feng had finished fighting. In the end, Long Ju won. Zhen Feng lost and left with his tail between his legs. There was no need to fight anymore. It was decided that Long Ju would win. Shi Shang looked at Yi Qingqiu standing beside Long Ju and the corner of his mouth twitched. So the male lead and female lead are still together? Although, the way they got together was a little strange. This couple was a little hard to break apart. The battle was set for 3 days later. But as soon as Long Ju led the army out of the celestial realm, they were ambushed by the demons. The demons seemed to be prepared. Long Ju's people were beaten until they couldn't fight back. In the end, they had to retreat to the celestial realm in a sorry state. Bad start. Zhen Feng's supporters immediately jumped out to ridicule and even called for a replacement. But there were also people on Long Ju's side who raised questions. How did the demons know when they were going to attack? There was a traitor. This thought flashed through everyone's minds. They couldn't care less about the internal strife. The demons had actually infiltrated the celestial realm? But there was no way to know who the traitor was. There were many people who knew when the troops were going to attack. How long would it take to investigate them one by one? Long Ju had a headache over this matter. He discussed it with people for a long time but still couldn't come to a conclusion. Young master, Miss Yi requests an audience. No. Long Ju frowned. His eyes were filled with hostility. Young master. The messenger was hesitant. Miss Yi said that she has something important to say. It's about the ambush. Long Ju coldly glanced at the messenger. Let her in. You guys go out first. After everyone left, Yi Qingqiu came in. He hadn't seen her for a few days. Her complexion was even better. She was like a delicate and beautiful flower. Her every frown and smile carried a seductive charm. Yi Qingqiu approached Long Ju and hooked her arms around his neck. Her breath smelled like orchids. Don't you miss me after not seeing me for a few days? Long Ju wanted to push her away, but the moment she got close to him, a wave of lust surged through his body. A hint of viciousness flashed through his eyes as he pressed down on Yi Qingqiu's shoulders and pressed her against the table beside him. Yi Qingqiu took the initiative to wrap her arms around Long Ju's waist, and the scene instantly became indescribable. By the time the two of them were done, nearly 2 hours had passed. Yi Qingqiu's clothes had been torn to shreds by Long Ju, and she couldn't cover the places that needed to be covered. Long Yang pulled himself away and straightened out his wrinkled clothes. He cast a sidelong glance at Yi Qingqiu. What do you want to talk to me about? Yi Qingqiu didn't care about her appearance. Didn't you want to know who the traitor is? I know. Who is it? Long Ju narrowed his eyes. It was an absolute humiliation for him to fail at his first attempt. If he knew who it was, he would definitely tear that person into pieces. I can tell you, but... Yi Qingqiu sized up Long Ju. Long Ju did not hide the disgust in his eyes. Do you want men that much? No, I only want you. Yi Qingqiu smiled coquettishly, but in Long Ju's eyes, it was filled with disgust. And he couldn't control his body. Just thinking about it made him want to kill her. One day, you'll regret it. Long Ju emphasized each word. He reached out and took off his clothes. Come here. Yi Qingqiu obediently walked over and squatted down. She looked up at him. You and I share the same life. If I die, you die too. Long Ju, don't even think about getting rid of me in this lifetime. Long Ju sneered. He would find a way eventually. There would be a day when he would tear this woman to shreds. The two of them messed around for half a day before Yi Qingqiu was satisfied. Only then did she tell Long Ju the name of the traitor. The informant was naturally Shi Sheng. How could she let go of such a good opportunity? So even if Long Ju knew who the traitor was, he could only sullenly go find the immortal emperor. Feng Xiai was a madman. If he went alone, he would definitely be beaten to a pulp. Even if the entire immortal world worked together, they might not be able to kill him. After hearing Long Ju's story, the immortal emperor calmly replied, Understood. Once Long Ju left, the immortal emperor's face darkened. Lu Zhang, what's the situation in the South Sea? Lu Zhang lowered his head and walked in front of the immortal emperor. He answered respectfully, according to the latest news, they want to use this opportunity to force the immortal emperor to abdicate. Long Ju will take away a large number of the immortal world's soldiers. I'm afraid we're not their match. But if we don't send out troops, the cultivation world won't be able to hold on. The immortal emperor flew into a rage. What a South Sea! What a Long Ju! Lu Zhang didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Long Ju left the immortal world today? The immortal emperor asked. Yes. The cultivation world's matter couldn't be delayed. It had already been delayed for some time. If this continued, the cultivation world would fall into the hands of the demon race. Go invite Feng Xiai and Shang Shu. Immortal Emperor. Why would he invite them? The immortal emperor glanced at him. Lu Zhang immediately responded and quickly retreated. Shi Sheng had been waiting for the immortal emperor to invite him. So when Lu Zhang arrived, Shi Shang stopped Feng Ci from burning Lu Zhang. Lu Zhang fearfully invited the immortal emperor to the immortal palace. This was the first time Shi Shang had seen the immortal emperor. He was a very handsome and mighty man. His every move was filled with domineering aura. The immortal emperor was silent for a while. Seeing that Shi Shang had no intention of speaking, he could only speak up himself. Why did you tell me about the South Sea's movements? Does disliking Long Ju count? Shi Shang raised his eyebrows. In the storyline, Yi Qingqiu didn't ascend so early. Naturally, the demon race wasn't so rampant. Thus, the immortal world didn't send out troops. The South Sea's plot to rebel never found the right time. It was almost at the end of the storyline that this group of cannon fodder jumped out to help the female lead. Now that the demon race had taken over half of the cultivation world, the immortal world had no choice but to send out troops. The South Sea, who had been plotting all this time, definitely wouldn't let go of such an opportunity. Shi Shang simply chose to inform the immortal emperor of this in advance. All she had to do was sit on the bench and watch. Then take the opportunity to rise to the top. The immortal emperor sized up Shi Shang a few times. However, he was observing Feng Ci from the corner of his eye. Seeing that his gaze never left Shi Shang, he knew that the rumors were true. Feng Ci really doted on this woman. The immortal emperor didn't invite me here just to ask me this, right? Of course not. A cold light flashed through the immortal emperor's eyes. If you can help the immortal world this time, I can promise you one thing. The rest of the immortal world's forces were guarding the major fortresses. They couldn't be easily moved, otherwise, there would be even more chaos. The strongest fighter in the immortal world was Feng Ci. As long as he agreed, the South Sea was nothing to be afraid of. Oh. Then if I want the position of immortal emperor, will you give it to me? Shi Shang looked at the immortal emperor with a smile that wasn't a smile. The immortal emperor. What was the difference between this and the South Seas rebellion? *8. 16. Please vote, please vote. Chapter 78. I'm just kidding. Don't be nervous. Shi Shang chuckled. It's not like we can't help you, but you have to kill Long Ju. If it's convenient, you have to deal with that Yi Qingqiu as well. Immortal Emperor, Long Ju was the young master of the Southern Sea Dragon Clan, so killing him wasn't a big deal. But Yi Qingqiu was the key to solving the Demon Realm's crisis. The Immortal Emperor agreed to kill Long Ju, but he didn't agree to kill Yi Qingqiu. Shi Shang pondered for a while but couldn't figure it out. Yi Qingqiu didn't seem to have any interactions with the Immortal Emperor. Could it be Mr. Plotline again? Killing as many as he could, Shi Shang reluctantly agreed. If Yi Qingqiu died so easily, she wouldn't be the female lead. The person sent by the Immortal Emperor was none other than Zhen Feng. However, things weren't that simple. Zhen Feng failed and Long Ju was rescued. Shi Shang felt a headache coming on. Were all cultivators so difficult to deal with? Damn it! After Long Ju was rescued, he didn't have it easy either. Zhen Feng's fighting strength wasn't just for show. He was almost half dead. If it wasn't for Yi Qingqiu, he probably would have died already. Why does Zhen Feng want to kill me? Long Ju looked at Yi Qingqiu with a dark expression. It has nothing to do with me. Although he likes me, I don't like him at all. Yi Qingqiu touched Long Ju's face. I like you the most. Long Ju turned his face away in disgust. Even if this woman saved him, it couldn't change the things she did to him. He would never forgive her. Yi Qingqiu pulled back her hand and flipped it back and forth. You know Zhen Feng better than I do. Who do you think he'll listen to? The Immortal Emperor. Zhen Feng was the #1 general of the immortal world. He only listened to the Immortal Emperor. If there was someone who could order him around, it would be the Immortal Emperor. But why did the Immortal Emperor want to kill him? Long Ju's expression suddenly changed. Something must have happened in the South Sea. No, I have to go back. The South Sea attacked faster than Shi Shang expected. Moreover, Many people in the immortal world had defected to the South Sea. For a time, the entire immortal world was filled with smoke. The South Sea was already prepared. It did not take much effort for them to reach the immortal emperor's immortal palace. The densely packed people surrounded the immortal palace. Immortal Emperor, what should we do? Lu Zhang's entire body was trembling. These people had been eating and drinking all year round, living a leisurely life. How could they be a match for those dragons who fought all year round? The immortal emperor sat firmly on the dragon throne and looked at the two people below. The two of you. Immortal emperor, you haven't fulfilled your promise. You can't blame me for not helping you, Shishang interrupted the immortal emperor. The immortal emperor was so angry that he was panting heavily. Shishang gave Feng Xiai a look. Feng Xiai nodded slightly and raised his hand to encircle Lu Zhang in flames. The immortal emperor was shocked and stood up from the dragon throne. What are you doing? Of course, it was to snatch the immortal emperor's throne. Now that everyone was fighting outside, there were only a few of them left. If they didn't make a move now, when would they? Do you think it was easy for me to wait for this opportunity? Feng Xiai didn't even blink as he attacked the immortal emperor. After the immortal emperor recovered from his shock, he was hit in the face by the flames. He hurriedly used an immortal spell to extinguish the flames, but a lot of his hair was still burned off. He looked extremely pitiful. The immortal emperor had many immortal spells in his body, but he didn't use them often. When it came to fighting, he was no match for Feng Xiai. After a few moves, he was defeated by Feng Xiai and lay on the ground. Feng Xiai also threw out a circle of flames to encircle him. Shishang approached the immortal emperor with an apologetic expression, but his tone was not at all apologetic. I'm sorry, I'm borrowing your throne. Don't worry, I'll return it to you soon. The immortal emperor. How can you borrow my throne like this? Also, is this something that can be borrowed? Shishang ignored the immortal emperor's murderous gaze and locked him and Lu Zhang in a corner. Then, he took out a brand new robe from the immortal emperor's bedroom. Come, put it on. Feng Xiai blinked, slightly confused. Xiaoshu, didn't you want the immortal emperor's throne? What am I doing with it? Hurry up and put it on. Shishang reached out to take off Feng Xi's robe. But I don't want to be the immortal emperor. Feng Xiai pressed down on Shishang's hand, his gaze sincere and gentle. I just want to be with you. F*CK, can you stop flirting with me at a time like this? That's why I said I'm borrowing it from the immortal emperor. I'll return it to him after I finish acting cool. Be good, hurry up and put it on. Do you think it's easy for me to complete a mission? This is King Trap. After changing, Shishang dragged Feng Xiai outside. Later you just have to stand there and say one sentence. Just say. Shishang pondered for a moment. Just say that those who obey me will prosper, and those who oppose me will perish. If they don't listen, just set them on fire. Such a domineering line was a standard in novels. There was no mistake about it. Feng Xiai nodded with an adorable expression. However, he only remembered 3 words. Set them on fire. Thus, as soon as Feng Xiai appeared, a large area in front of him was set on fire. The scene of slaughter suddenly quieted down. Everyone looked in the direction of the fire. Not far away, on the steps of the immortal palace, stood a man wearing the immortal emperor's robe. However, that person was not the immortal emperor they were familiar with. Instead, it was Feng Xiai. He. Why is he dressed like this? Where's the immortal emperor? Feng Xiai, what did you do to the immortal emperor? What do we do? Feng Xiai is also interfering. Are we going to fight or not? Fight with Feng Xiai? Can we win? Feng Xiai expressionlessly set fire to the people who were speaking. Thus, no one dared to make a sound. Shishang stood at the back with a head full of black lines. It felt like everything she said before was for nothing. Forget it. Violence was better than anything else. The group of people was in a deadlock for a while. Feng Xiai was getting impatient. He raised his hand and continued to set fire. Once the fire went down, the people on the other side became angry. Fuck, hurry up and run. The people on the Immortal Emperor's side all retreated to a safe place and knelt down. We pay our respects to the Immortal Emperor. Dignity? Integrity? If they lost their lives, what dignity and integrity did they need? This was probably the weirdest way to become the Immortal Emperor in history. The people on the South Sea side quickly retreated back to their own territory. However, there were some people who wanted to fight to the death. They did not believe that Feng Xiai was really that powerful. As the saying goes, 2 hands are no match for 4 fists. But later on, they found out that they simply couldn't get close to Feng Xiai. Moreover, many spells required a certain distance to cast, while Feng Xi's flames could reach 100 meters or even further. This AoE skill was simply invincible. This was AF * King Bug. Some people turned their attention to Shi Sheng. After all, this girl looked soft and cute and did not have much attack power. She was Feng Xi's weakness. If they could capture her, it would be easy to deal with Feng Xiai. However, they only realized how naive they were when they made a move. How was this soft and cute? Because Feng Xiai did not allow Shi Sheng to kill people, she rarely made a move. This time, Shi Sheng finally had a chance to make a move. After so long, he finally found a place to vent his frustrations. Shi Sheng's killing moves were especially beautiful. From afar, it did not look bloody at all. Instead, it looked like an exquisite and luxurious killing performance. However, only those who experienced it for themselves knew how terrifying the power behind those beautiful moves was. Chapter 79. The crisis in the immortal world was resolved just like that. They didn't know whether to be happy or worried. Where did their previous immortal emperor go? Where was the general manager of the immortal world? Shi Sheng had people prepare a simple coronation ceremony. Then, the next day, they discovered that the immortal emperor had changed hands again. No, it was returned to its rightful owner. The immortal emperor was very sullen. He had never seen such a weird person. Immortal Emperor, it's bad. The demons have completely taken over the cultivation world. Immortal Emperor. He suddenly wanted to abdicate. The immortal soldiers and generals sent by the immortal world were chased by the demons because there was no one to command them. Later, half of them were summoned back to the immortal world, but they were of no use at all. So those 2 people were just trying to buy time for the demons? The immortal emperor felt like he had discovered the truth, but it was really F*** up. The demons sent an invitation to the immortal emperor. The immortal world hadn't recovered from the South Sea incident. If they fought with the demons, they had no chance of winning. The immortal emperor had no choice but to accept the invitation. He didn't know what they talked about, but in the end, the immortal emperor handed over the management of the cultivation world to the demons. Then, the demons and the immortal world worked together to deal with the South Sea. The South Sea was destroyed, but Yi Qingqiu and Long Ju disappeared at the last moment. Jun Wuqi came to see Shi Sheng after that. Miss Shang, you've only been the immortal emperor for a day. Is that enough? Jun Wuqi looked at Shi Sheng, amused. When he heard the news, he almost collapsed from laughter. Just how bored was this woman? She snatched the position of immortal emperor for a day, and it was for a man. Jun Wuqi wanted to laugh even more when he thought of the immortal emperor's expression. He should be thankful that she didn't want his position. I can even snatch the position of immortal emperor. Who would dare to cause trouble for me in the future? Shi Sheng replied seriously. Jun Wuqi. That's a good point. Ahem. I'm here to tell you that Yi Qingqiu and Long Ju are in the cultivation world. Do you need me to help you? This was also doing her a favor. Otherwise, she would be in trouble if she attacked the demons out of boredom. This Shang Shu didn't seem dangerous. In fact, she was more ruthless than anyone, more confident and arrogant than anyone else. one who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. Shi Sheng's face was full of disdain. Jun Wuqi, Yi Qingqiu and Long Ju, who had escaped, were currently somewhere in the cultivation world. Long Ju looked much older and was no longer as handsome as before. Moreover, he looked listless. He laid on the bed and allowed Yi Qingqiu to writhe on top of him. He had never imagined that he would one day go from being the high and mighty young lord of the Dragon Clan to a wanted criminal in the immortal realm. Yi Qingqiu didn't change at all. She still looked pretty, but there was a wisp of black qi between her brows. She didn't seem to notice it. Since Long Ju wasn't moving, Yi Qingqiu quickly lost interest and stopped twisting. She looked down at Long Ju with a hint of disdain in her eyes. Long Yang seemed to have sensed the disdain in Yi Qingqiu's eyes, and the anger in his chest flared up. He flipped over and pressed her under his body, choking her neck. His eyes were dark and ruthless. "What? You're despising me now? Didn't you say you liked me?" It was all because of this woman. If it wasn't for her, he would have persuaded his father not to send troops to the immortal realm and wouldn't have ended up like this. Not only did this woman threaten him, she even seduced his father and his brothers. The more Long Ju thought about it, the angrier he became. His fingers tightened as he choked Yi Qingqiu. Long Ju. Yi Qingqiu was also injured. Long Ju's energy had mostly been extracted by her, so there wasn't enough for her to recover. She couldn't resist Long Ju at all. "You're crazy. If it wasn't for... cough cough. If it wasn't for me, you would have been dead by now." "Dead? I'd rather be dead than dead right now. Let's die together. Bitch." Long Ju choked even harder. Yi Qingqiu's brain was deprived of oxygen and her limbs began to lose strength. She suddenly regretted it a little. She couldn't understand why she wanted such a man so much that she even tied her life to his. Yi Qingqiu's consciousness grew weaker and weaker, but her will to live grew stronger and stronger. Her hands kept groping around until she finally touched an ice-cold object. Yi Qingqiu couldn't tell what she was grabbing and instinctively stabbed it into Long Ju's abdomen. Long Ju's body stiffened for a moment before his fingers slowly relaxed and moved away from Yi Qingqiu's neck. He lowered his head to look at his abdomen, then looked up at Yi Qingqiu. After a while, he lowered his head again and repeated this process several times. His red eyes were filled with disbelief. Yi Qingqiu also saw the object in Long Ju's abdomen clearly. It was a strange round object with a strange totem carved on it. It looked quite strange. What was even stranger was that the blood flowing out of Long Ju's body was being absorbed by that object. The speed of absorption increased and Yi Qingqiu could only watch as Long Ju's body became more and more withered. His eye sockets were sunken and his eyeballs bulged out. They were bloodshot and filled with fear. His mouth was open and his chest was heaving up and down rapidly. His throat made a whimpering sound that grew weaker and weaker until finally, he dropped his head and stopped breathing. In just a few seconds, a living person had turned into a dried corpse. Yi Qingqiu looked like someone had pressed the pause button as she stared blankly at Long Ju. Only when Long Ju's withered body fell on top of her did she suddenly wake up and jump off the bed. When her feet touched the ground, she immediately felt a piercing pain spread from her heart. Her body twitched as she half knelt on the ground. "Oh no! My life and Long Ju's are connected. If Long Ju dies, I have to die too. No. I can't die. I still have to find that bitch Shang Shu for revenge. I can't die." Yi Qingqiu took out many bottles and jars from her body. Her fingers trembled as she pulled them out. In the end, she didn't care what they were and just stuffed them all into her mouth. "I can't die. I can't die." Yi Qingqiu didn't notice that the black fog behind her was getting thicker and thicker. Finally, it formed a human silhouette. It silently pulled out the object in Long Ju's abdomen and slowly took on a physical form. TSK. After so many years, this sovereign finally has a body. Yi Qingqiu's body stiffened and she abruptly turned around. She saw a man standing behind her with a thin layer of black fog around him. His facial features were very sharp and gave off a very uncomfortable feeling. How did you? Yi Qingqiu's gaze fell on the round object in his hand. You killed Long Ju. How could it be this sovereign? It's you, my little girl. The man bent down and lifted Yi Qingqiu's chin. His eyes flickered with lust. You've nurtured this body for so many years. This sovereign can finally enjoy it. No. Yi Qingqiu retreated in horror. That's not up to you. This sovereign didn't teach you the plucking in replenishing yang technique for your pleasure. The man picked Yi Qingqiu up and threw her onto the bed, right across Long Ju. Yi Qingqiu cried out in shock and shrank back. However, she bumped into an ice-cold embrace. You're not like this when you kill people. However, this sovereign likes you even more when you're like this. *RIP. Come on, vote. Do you guys not love me anymore because I'm about to be sold? You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.